Yun Chujo saw that Yi Xinwan did not move and knew that it was the work of Di Biming. She curled her lips. It was good to have a strong backer. Aunt, I really don't understand. I have never offended you, why do you have to target me? It's fine if you usually insult me, but you still want to occupy my courtyard and even poison me to ruin my looks. What is the reason for this? Yi Xinwan was about to speak. Yun Chujo chuckled. Actually, I know even if you don't tell me. Because of your inferiority complex, you were suppressed by my mother's halo until you lost all luster. You can't compete with my mother, so you want to vent your resentment on me. TSK, I have to say that you're really good at deceiving yourself. You'll never be able to compete with my mother in this lifetime. Even your daughter can't compete with me. Stop dreaming. Yi Xinwen's vicious gaze was like a poisonous snake. Little bitch, you're spouting nonsense. I can't compare to that Yilan. What a joke. That Yilan was so insufferably arrogant back then. What happened in the end? Didn't she still marry a lowly person? Did she give birth to a trash like you? As for me, I'm the wife of a super aristocratic family. My son is the most favored junior in the Fan family. My Su Shui is 10,000 times stronger than you. Her spiritual power and family background are much higher than yours. You will never be able to compare to her in this lifetime. TSK, I really sympathize with you. Sometimes self-deception is also a kind of skill. Do you still need me to remind you of what happened back then? It's just your honey and your arsenic. As for Fan Sushua TSK, I don't need to compete with her spiritual power, nor do I need to compete with her family background. I just need to be more beautiful than her. As Yun Chujo spoke, she lifted the veil on her face. Her beautiful face instantly stunned everyone present, especially the bright confidence in her eyes, which burned Yi Xinwen's confidence. You, how can you not be disfigured? This is impossible. Yi Xinwan shouted in disbelief. She was clearly disfigured. I can't help it. Who asked me to be the darling of Tian Dao? I was disfigured on the first day, but I recovered the next day. Don't you think it's infuriating? Yi Xinwan felt her head buzzing. She was completely devastated by the fact that Yun Chujo was not disfigured. And although my mother and you are not on good terms, we are not mortal enemies, right? Why do you have to target me? Did someone say something to you that shouldn't be said? Besides, I'm also very puzzled. How did cousin Su Shui get disfigured by the salt-free powder? Is it really the retribution of Tian Dao? Or have you guys been schemed against? TSK, you don't have to doubt me. I've never even left Xiaohua Garden. Moreover, my appearance has already recovered to its original state. Why should I provoke you guys? Yi Xinwan couldn't help but think of Lu Shi and Yi Bingying. If it wasn't for their instigation, even though she couldn't stand Yun Chujo, she might not have thought of occupying the courtyard. If Yi Bingying hadn't kept talking about how beautiful Yun Chujo was in front of Su Shui wouldn't have suggested poisoning her. All of this was instigated by the mother and daughter. However, Yi Bingying was also disfigured. How could she explain this? Aunt, do you think that Yi Bingying is no longer a suspect just because she's disfigured? I think that there might have been a slight deviation in their plan. That's why she accidentally got herself involved. It can only be said that it's retribution, Yun Chujo said with a smile. Dog-eat-dog was the most interesting thing. Even if they couldn't really fight, it was still good to prevent them from joining forces. The expression on Yi Xinwen's face changed a few times. Then, she glared at Yun Chujo and said, I will naturally settle the score with them. You won't be able to escape either. Let's wait and see. Auntie, let's not talk about waiting and see. Even if I run, I will accompany you. However, those who go against me usually don't have a good ending. You have to be careful. Yun Chujo said indifferently. Of course, she would not naively think that a few words from her would be enough to make Yi Xinwan abandon evil and become good. Yi Xinwan looked at Yun Chujio's beautiful face and wished that she could destroy it immediately. However, she also felt that today's matter was too strange. If she were to find fault with it again, she was afraid that it would not end well for her. Just as Yi Xinwan was in a dilemma, Old Master Yi rushed back. Old Master Yi had already prepared himself for the worst on the way back. He felt that Yun Chujo was most likely going to suffer. Especially if Yi Xinwan found out that she wasn't disfigured. Her life would be in danger. Old Master Yi saw from afar that the courtyard wall of Xiaohua Garden had collapsed, and there were more than 10 people lying on the ground. It's over. It's over. Those lying on the ground must be the Yi family's guards. Little Jiu must have been killed. Old Master Yi sighed repeatedly. He hurried over but didn't expect to come back late. Housekeeper Fu, who was at the side, said in surprise, "Old Master, those lying on the ground seem to be the Fan family's guards. They aren't our Yi family's guards." Old Master Yi took a closer look. It was really true. How was this possible? The Fan family guards were much more powerful than their Yi family guards. Old Master Yi came closer and saw that Yun Chujio had already taken off her veil. There were no signs of injury. On the other side, Yi Xinwen's hair was still dripping with water. Her clothes were also full of water stains. What on earth was going on? Yun Chujio saw Old Master Yi and her eyes immediately turned red. "Great-grandfather, you're finally back. It wants to kill me. I was scared to death." Everyone present looked at Yun Chujio with a dumbfounded expression. It was rare to see someone so shameless. Especially the guards of the Fan family. They were all lying on the ground. When they heard Yun Chujio's words, they spat out another mouthful of blood and fainted again. Yi Xinwan was so angry that she gritted her teeth. "Grandfather, don't listen to her nonsense." Yun Chujio wiped her tears with her sleeve. "How am I spouting nonsense? Aren't you here to kill me? Didn't your people cause my courtyard wall to collapse? Didn't you threaten me just now? Let me wait and see. If it weren't for my good luck, I might have turned into a corpse by now. You're my biological aunt. Don't you feel sorry for your conscience by treating me like this?" Yi Xinwan could not utter a single word. Yes, she was indeed here to kill this little bastard. But why was it that in the end, not only were the guards of the Fan family heavily injured, even Su Shui was beaten half to death? Why was this so? Old Master Yi was clearly a little dumbfounded as well. He could only beckon the little commander to come over and ask about the situation. The little commander hated Yi Xinwan to death now, and his favorable impression of Yun Chujio rose rapidly. Thus, in the process of narrating, he could not help but slightly refine it. Great-grandfather Yes' expression was uncertain. On one hand, it was because he was displeased with Yi Xinwan and her mother. On the other hand, he was very curious about how Yun Chujio did it. As for what kind of retribution, great-grandfather Yi naturally did not believe it. Great-grandfather Yes' face was dark as water as he said to Yi Xinwan, "You're an elder, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you going back?" Yi Xinwan glared at Yun Chujio coldly and left with the Fan family's guards. The fainted Fan family's guards were also woken up and helped to leave. Great-grandfather Yi waved his hand, and the Yi family's guards retreated outside Xiaohua Garden. Great-grandfather Yi and Yun Chujio went to Xiaohua Garden's study room. "Tell me what exactly happened." Old Master Yi stared at Yun Chujio and asked. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. "I don't know either. I guess someone helped me in the dark. Sometimes when I'm in danger, someone will help me in the dark. Maybe my mother showed herself." It would be a ghost if Old Master Yi believed her words. However, he could not press her too hard. He could only sigh. "Little Jiu, no matter who is behind you, the Fan family is not someone you can afford to offend. I understand Xinwen's character. This matter will definitely not be let off easily. You should try to stay in the Xingtian Academy in the future. If you want to return to the Yi family, tell me in advance. I'll send someone to pick you up. Don't go out alone, understand?" Yun Chujio thought about the meaning behind Old Master Yes' words. Although on one hand she was indeed worried about her safety, she also had the intention of keeping a distance from her. This was because she had never heard of anyone who needed to communicate in advance if they wanted to return home. However, it was also understandable. Fan Sushua had been beaten by her until she could not get out of bed for half a year. The Fan family would definitely be dissatisfied with the Yi family. After Aunt and the others leave, I will return to Xingtian Academy. I have missed a lot of classes at this stage. In the future, I will be at ease and study hard in the academy. I will try my best not to go out," Yun Chujio said with a faint smile. They were all old foxes, so they were very clear about the subtext in both parties' words. Old Master Yi nodded and said, I hope Dr. Deng can really develop an antidote for salt-free powder. Otherwise, I'm afraid I won't be able to protect you. Yoon Chujia's heart moved and she frowned slightly. I did see Dr. Deng yesterday and I heard that he has some clues. However, it seems that the antidote for salt-free powder requires several mid-grade heaven-grade spirit herbs. I'm afraid the price is not cheap. Old Master Yi was delighted. Is it true? As long as we can develop the antidote, even spending more spirit stones is worth it. Yoon Chujio nodded. Dr. Deng said so yesterday. I reckon that there will be some clues in a few days. Old Master Yi's heart brightened up a little. As long as Fan Suksha's face was cured, the rest of the matters would be much easier to handle. Great-grandfather Yi gave a few more instructions before leaving Xiaohua Garden. Yoon Chujio turned around and entered her bedroom. Di Baiming was meditating and cultivating when he saw her enter. Only then did he open his eyes. What did great-grandfather Yi say to you? Yoon Chujio recounted what had happened, then she said self-deprecatingly, the Yoon family and I are not related by blood, but they are sincere to me. The Mo family and the Yi family are my family, but their actions are extremely chilling. If not for my meticulous planning, I'm afraid they would have treated me as an abandoned child long ago. You have me, why do you care about them? It's better not to have such a family. Di Baiming saw that Yoon Chujio was in a low mood and said while stroking her hair. Yoon Chujio grunted. In her previous life she was an abandoned child, so she yearned for family ties. Otherwise, according to her character, she would have dealt with those people from the Mo family long ago. Moreover, even if she was extremely intelligent, her spiritual power was still too weak. If she didn't have the protection of her family, she wouldn't be able to stand on her own feet now. Yoon Chujio could not help but laugh at herself. She was really a pot calling the kettle black. Old Master Yi was focused on the interests of the family, and she was just looking for a place to stay. It was not a big deal. When Di Baiming heard Yoon Chujio's words, his heart ached. He knew Yoon Chujio's desire for kinship and family, but he could not give her anything now. He could not even give her a guarantee of stability. Di Baiming was initially hesitant about one thing, but now he had made up his mind. He could not continue this little by little anymore. Even if it was a risk, he had to give it a try. Otherwise, if he wanted to live a stable life, it would be a distant future. Yoon Chujio did not know that Di Baiming had already made an extremely risky decision. She said to Di Baiming, Prince Charming, you should sleep for a while. Yi Xinwan will probably not come to find trouble in a while. I will keep an eye on her from outside. Di Baiming wanted to clear his mind, so he took the opportunity to agree. Yoon Chujio saw that Di Baiming had laid down. She went out of the house and supervised the servants sent by housekeeper Fu to repair the wall. As this guy watched, bad water came out. He took out cinnabar from his storage ring and wrote a big line of words on the wall. When the servants and guards saw the words written by Yoon Chujio, they were like dogs. On the bluestone wall there was a line of words that were as red as blood. Whoever destroys Xiaohua Garden will be punished. A woman's face will be disfigured, and a man will have no descendants. After Yoon Chujio finished writing, she felt very satisfied. The most important thing for a woman was her appearance, and the most important thing for a man was naturally his children. Although many people might not believe in this curse, people's imagination was very strong. She did not believe that anyone would take the risk of being cursed and destroy Xiaohua Garden. The handymen who were repairing the wall were originally doing their work casually. After seeing this line of bright red words, they immediately became cautious, as if they were not holding a brick but their descendants. The guards looked at each other. This cousin lady was really mean. It was just that her handwriting was too ugly. It was said that people were like their words, but it did not seem to be the case. Yoon Chujio was admiring her calligraphy when she heard a commotion coming from afar. Yoon Chujio waved at the guard commander and said, "Go and see what's going on. Come back and report to me." The guard commander ran away happily and returned in a short while. "Young lady, it's aunt and first madam who are quarreling." They were about to start fighting, but someone went to report to the old madam. After the old madam came, they stopped both sides. Yoon Chujio curled her lips. TSK, why did they start fighting all of a sudden? We are all relatives, why bother? The little commander's eyes twitched. Don't you know why they started fighting? You were the one who instigated it, alright? Now you are pretending to be innocent. Yoon Chujo turned around and entered the house. She wanted to show off, but only then did she remember that Lee Biming was sleeping. She blinked her eyes and took out a dagger from her storage ring. She bared her teeth and put more than 20 small jade bottles of blood into it. She put the small jade bottles into the wooden box. After thinking for a while, she took out a small bamboo basket and placed the wooden box on the lowest level. On top of it, she put some spirit fruits and other food into the storage ring. This fellow couldn't help but laugh at himself. Just treat it as a blood donation. In any case, as long as this thing didn't lose too much in one go, it wasn't a big deal. This fellow spoke so casually, but he suddenly felt a little dizzy. Damn it, he had placed too much in one go. Yoon Chujo took a moment to recover and ate something. Only then did she feel a little better. She sorted out some medicinal pills and some food. She even prepared a few sacks for Lee Biming. She sighed. She had yet to learn the drawing method of high-grade talismans. Otherwise, she could give the pretty boy dozens of sacks. She decided to go to the 2nd or 3rd grade class when she went back. She wanted to see if she could learn how to draw high-grade talismans and high-grade elixirs. She suddenly found a goal to strive for. She felt full of energy. Lee Biming woke up in less than 4 hours. When he saw Yoon Chujo, he frowned slightly and asked, "Why do you look a little pale?" "Is that so? Maybe I haven't been basking in the sun recently, so I'm getting fairer and fairer. Isn't one white covering all ugliness? Prince Charming, do you think I'm even more beautiful?" A certain Joe asked shamelessly. Lee Biming snorted non-committally. A certain Joe was instantly unhappy. "What do you mean by snorting? Are you even more beautiful?" Lee Biming only raised his eyebrows and did not say anything. Yoon Chujo continued to ask non-stop. Lee Biming seemed to find it very interesting to tease her. A certain Joe was so angry that she stomped her feet. The two of them played around for a while. Lee Biming said seriously, "I don't think Yi Xinwan will let this go. Try not to go out in the Xingtian Academy. After this period, I will ask Enfeng to come back and protect you." Yoon Chujo nodded. "Oh right, my Prince Charming, I've prepared some food for you. You can keep the chili noodles for yourself." Lee Biming did not care too much about it, and allowed Yoon Chujo to transfer the items into his storage ring. The two of them seemed to have a lot to talk about, but time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, it was already midnight. Yoon Chujo pursed her lips and pretended to be strong as she said, "Prince Charming, it's time. You should go. Otherwise, when the sun rises, it will be hard to get away." Lee Biming clenched his fists. He wanted to say something, but he swallowed it back. Forget it, the outcome of the matter was not certain yet. He should not let little Joe worry about it. Lee Biming gritted his teeth. "I'm leaving. You take care of yourself." After Lee Biming finished speaking, he pushed open the door and disappeared with a leap. Yoon Chujo caught up to the door and only saw an afterimage. She was stunned for a moment before closing the door and lying back on the bed. What she did not know was that Lee Biming had left and returned. He stood at the door for a long time before sighing silently and leaping towards the guest house. While Lee Biming and Yoon Chujo were talking, he had already found out the location of the guest house. He felt that it was necessary to give the Yi family a warning so that they would not provoke little Joe for a short period of time. When Lee Biming arrived at the guest house, he waved his sleeves and the guards fell to the ground one after another. Lee Biming used cinnabar to write the word "kill" on the ground in the courtyard, and then slapped the house. The house in the guest house collapsed with a loud bang. Screams and exclamations came from inside the house. Lee Biming raised his eyebrows and disappeared into the night with a leap. Yoon Chujo heard the commotion in the guest house and her heart skipped a beat. She immediately guessed that it was Lee Biming's doing. Her heart was sweet and sour. How could she sleep? This guy simply got up and jumped onto the roof to watch the show. That night, the Yi residence was in chaos again. It was said that when Yi Xinwan saw the bright red word "kill" in the middle of the courtyard, she fainted from fright. A certain Joe watched the show for a while before returning to her room with her head drooping. She hugged a certain portrait and fell asleep. The next morning, The 6 servants in the servants' room finally woke up. They were very puzzled. Why did it feel like they had slept for a long time? When the 6 of them came out of the room and saw the brand new wall, they were immediately at a loss. The 6 of them did not have time to think about it. They suddenly felt very hungry. How could they be so hungry after only sleeping for one night? It was really strange. When 2 of the maids came back with breakfast, they realized that they had not slept for one night. It was clearly 1 day and 2 nights. The little devil was really sneaky. Was he planning to make them unable to sleep for a long time? Just as the 6 of them were cursing in their hearts, Yoon Chujo yawned and came out. After Yoon Chujo saw the 6 of them, she asked, "You're awake? Do you think that I've gone too far by letting you sleep for so long?" The 6 of them shook their heads repeatedly. What a joke. How would they dare to express their dissatisfaction? "Sai, you really don't understand my good intentions. Yesterday my aunt and Fan Sushua came to find trouble. If you hadn't fallen asleep, would you still be standing here and talking to me? I reckon that they would have long been killed by the rod of their anger." Yoon Chujo sighed and said. The 6 servants were stunned at first, then they revealed expressions of gratitude. They felt that they really had the heart of a petty person. Miss Biao had made them fall asleep completely out of the perspective of protecting them. They actually blamed the young miss. They were really worse than pigs and dogs. Fan Sushua was seriously injured and could not move, and Yi Xinwan was scared to death. The mother and daughter of Lu Shi were afraid that Yi Xinwan would be jealous and hate them again, so they did not dare to do anything evil. Therefore, for the next few days the Yi family was peaceful. On this day, Dr. Deng came to see Yoon Chujo in a hurry. When he saw the red words on the wall, the corner of his eyes could not help but twitch. This Miss Yoon was really mean. After Dr. Deng saw Yoon Chujo, he said, "There are some clues about the antidote, but I still need to try a few more times to confirm the specific ratio. Miss Yoon, tell me the truth. Did you already know the antidote formula for the salt-free powder?" Dr. Deng was not a fool. How could it be so coincidental? The herbs in the wooden box were all needed for the salt-free powder antidote. Also, how did she know that the violet blood forsythia needed to be roasted to be used as medicine? Yoon Chujo said with a smile, "I found out by chance, but I only know which herbs I need. As for the specific ratio, I don't know. I'm only a level 10 alchemist. How can I be as experienced as you?" Dr. Deng originally felt that he had been toyed with. Now that he heard Yoon Chujo say this, he felt a little better. Speaking of which, although she knew how many herbs she needed, but if she didn't have enough experience, she wouldn't be able to figure out the exact formula. "Old miracle doctor, since the antidote is about to be developed, it's time for you to make a condition to my aunt and my first aunt. You only need to make 2 conditions. As there are several mid-grade heaven rank elixirs, the cost is huge. Sell them 50 million high-grade spirit stones for a bottle, and make them swear that they will never harm you. Don't worry, even if they feel that the conditions are too excessive, they will comply, because they have no other choice." Dr. Deng was a little reluctant, but he had already boarded the pirate ship, so he could only agree. After Yoon Chujo sent Dr. Deng away, she hummed a little tune and entered the house. This guy remembered that he hadn't told Di Biming about her bleeding. After counting the days, it was impossible for Di Biming to come back and settle the score with her. So he took out the voice transmission talisman and told Di Biming about the matter. After Yoon Chujo told Di Biming about the exsanguination, she waited for Di Biming's reply with trepidation. She could foresee the storm of scolding. After all, Di Biming had told her last time that he would never allow her to exsanguinate again. After a while, the sound transmission talisman started to vibrate. Yoon Chujo did some mental work for a while before she sent her spiritual sense into the sound transmission talisman. "Okay, I got it." "What? It was that simple?" He didn't blame her? Did the gigolo take the wrong medicine? Yoon Chujo felt that the situation was a little strange, but it was better not to be scolded. The gigolo was probably faking it, but he was actually very angry in his heart. He would deal with her next time they met. Must be like this. Perhaps it was because Di Biming's threat to Yi Xinwan last time was effective, so she didn't find trouble with Yoon Chujo again. Dr. Deng did as Yoon Chujo said and proposed 2 conditions to Yi Xinwan and Lu Shi. Although Yi Xinwan and Lu Shi were very reluctant, they could only grit their teeth and agree for the sake of their daughter's appearance. Yi Xinwan and Lu Shi's private savings were almost all spent after this. One could imagine the pain in their hearts. Even though Yi Xinwan and Lu Shi had sworn an oath, Dr. Deng still moved away from Yi City after the matter was over. After all, 50 million high-grade spirit stones were enough to open a pharmacy anywhere. After Fan Suksha's appearance was restored, Yi Xinwan also returned to the Fan family. After earning another wave, Yun Chuzhou suggested to Old Master Yi that she return to Xingtian Academy. Old Master Yi sent a full 100 guards to protect her in case of danger along the way. Yun Chuzhou returned to Xingtian Academy safely. When this fellow saw the gate of Xingtian Academy, he couldn't help but sigh. Yun Chuzhou have returned. Students tremble. As expected, when the Xingtian Academy students saw that Yun Chuzhou had returned, they all took a detour, afraid that she would extort them. Yun Chuzhou touched her nose. Was it necessary? Didn't she just extort a few people? She was a very reasonable and good student. She still didn't know that the matter of her extorting Lu Jinluan at the entrance of the WA Rock Academy had already spread. Everyone thought to themselves, this fellow even dared to extort a first-class family's daughter, let alone them. It was safer to stay away from her. Yun Chuzhou hopped into Ding Gongsun's study. Ding Gongsun did not say anything. After all, there was a reason for this matter. After saying a few words, he made her leave. Yun Chuzhou returned to the dormitory and saw Xue Wuji and Jin Ji. She briefly told them about the matter. Is there anything going on in the academy recently? Yun Chuzhou took the recording stone that Jin Ji gave her and asked casually. Nothing major, but there is something strange. Teacher Dong was stunned by Yun Chuzhou's stroke of genius. His expression was a little unnatural as he said dryly, "It's good that you know. Take care of yourself." After saying that, Teacher Dong flicked his sleeves and left the classroom. However, he seemed to be taking a detour and almost tripped over the doorsill. Yun Chuzhou was secretly happy. This Teacher Dong was really interesting. During lunch, Yun Chuzhou said to Xue Wuji and Jin Ji, "I'm going to the second grades day class to listen to the Talisman Seal class in the afternoon. Are you guys going?" Xue Wuji and Jin Ji shook their heads. They were not Talisman Seal's masters, so it would be a waste of time if they went. Therefore, after Yun Chuzhou took a nap, she strolled to the day class alone. Yun Chuzhou was now a famous person in Xingtian Academy, so the moment she entered the classroom, all the second-year students in the classroom recognized her. Since the second-year Dao Talisman class was an elective class, the students in the classroom were all second-year Dao Talisman students. When everyone saw Yun Chuzhou, they couldn't help but look at a male student. It was He Hongchuan who had a conflict with Yun Chuzhou. Everyone thought that Yun Chuzhou was looking for trouble with him. He Hongchuan revealed a panicked expression. Yun Chuzhou was no longer the same as before. She was the daughter of a first-class family. He couldn't afford to offend her. The room was silent. Everyone's eyes flashed with gossip. This Yun Chuzhou was really arrogant. She actually came to the classroom to take revenge. Just as everyone was imagining it, they saw Yun Chuzhou walking towards He Hongchuan. Everyone immediately stretched their necks and looked at the two of them. They were going to fight. They were going to fight again. Ever since Yun Chuzhou asked for a leave of absence, the Xingtian Academy had not been lively for a long time. Today they could finally feast their eyes. He Hongchuan's face revealed a panicked expression. He gritted his teeth and said, "Yun Chuzhou, this is the academy. Even if your Yi family is powerful, you can't use your power to bully others. Senior He, is there anyone sitting on the empty seat next to you? Let me tell you, I'm not afraid of you." "What? Empty seat?" He Hongchuan was clearly confused. Wasn't Yun Chuzhou here to take revenge? Why did she ask about the empty seat? Yun Chuzhou asked again. He Hongchuan said in a daze, "There's no one." "That's great. This seat will be mine from now on. I'll be sitting here from now on. Please make way, let me in." Yun Chuzhou clapped her hands and said excitedly. He Hongchuan's body reacted faster than his brain. He stood up subconsciously and let Yun Chuzhou sit in the seat against the wall. When he reacted, Yun Chujio was already sitting in the seat and chewing on the spiritual fruit. Cold sweat broke out on He Hongchuan's forehead. It was over. What bad water was this Yun Chujio taking? Did she want to beat him up in front of the teacher? Or was she planning to interfere with his studies so that he would be eliminated during the final exam? All of a sudden, He Hongchuan came up with a lot of scary schemes and tricks, and the cold sweat on his head grew more and more. The other students in the classroom were thinking the same thing as He Hongchuan. This Yun Chujio would definitely seek revenge for the smallest grievance. This time she must have come up with some bad moves, and there would be a good show to watch in the future. After a while, Teacher Yang, who was teaching the second-year talismans class, walked in. He did not notice that there was an extra student in the classroom. He began to teach the class step by step. Today we will continue to learn the drawing method of the level 10 earth-splitting talisman. Everyone, look over here, Teacher Yang said as a shadow stone appeared on the podium. The second grade classroom was different from the first grade classroom. The first grade classroom podium was in the middle, while the second grade classroom podium was at the front. A huge talisman appeared on the shadow stone, and the patterns on it were clearly visible. Teacher Yang pointed at about 1/10 of the talisman with his ring ruler and said, "We've explained this far in the last class. Have you all gone back to practice?" Everyone naturally expressed their intention to go back to practice. Teacher Yang nodded and said, "In that case, I will select a student and let him come up to demonstrate." Teacher Yang looked around and found that all the students were listening to him attentively. Only one student lowered his head and used his finger to draw on the table. He immediately felt a little displeased. He pointed with his finger. "That female student, come up and demonstrate." After Teacher Yang finished speaking, he heard everyone gasp and felt even more displeased. It seemed that this student must have quite a few criminal records. He raised his voice. "That female student, did you hear that?" Yun Chujio was using her finger to draw the earth-splitting talisman when she heard He Hongchuan's trembling voice. "Yun, Miss Yun, teacher is calling you." Yun Chujio raised her head in a daze. Her gaze happened to meet Teacher Yang's gaze. Teacher Yang was stunned. Wasn't this the little devil? Why did he come to the second grade? Could it be that the first grade wasn't tormented enough and he still wanted to stir up trouble in the second grade? "Yun Chujio, why are you here?" Most teachers wouldn't like a student like Yun Chujio who caused trouble. Teacher Yang wasn't surprised. The first thought that flashed through his mind was that this Yun Chujio was here to cause trouble. Yun Chujio stood up and said very naturally, "I'm here to listen to the class." The academy did not prohibit students from listening in on the class, right? Teacher Yang choked. The academy really did not have such a rule, but which normal person would come to the senior class to listen to the class for no reason? Although there is no such rule, but I am a teacher of the talisman class. If you cannot meet my standards, then please leave the classroom and do not disturb the other students in class, Teacher Yang said with slight annoyance. He Hongchuan was just short of cheering for Teacher Yang. His words were too fucking good. Hurry up and get rid of this little devil. Otherwise, he, Teacher Yang's proud student, would not be able to survive. Because his heart was filled with panic, he did not have the mood to listen to the class. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. "Teacher Yang, you are right. You are in charge of your class. Then may I ask, what standards do you have?" Teacher Yang did not expect Yun Chujio to agree so readily. But what criteria did she use to make things difficult for her? He thought for a moment and saw the pattern on the shadow stone. He suddenly had an idea. It's very simple. If you can draw 1/10 of this earth-shattering talisman, then you have met the criteria. However, this drawing is not to be casually drawn. There are no pauses and no mistakes in the middle. Can you do it? Teacher Yang said with some pride. Everyone in the classroom clicked their tongues. It seemed that Teacher Yang didn't like this Yun Chujio very much. This was purely making things difficult for her. The higher the level of the talisman, the more complicated it was. Even if it was 1/10 of the earth-splitting talisman, it was impossible to complete it without several practices. Moreover, this little newbie Yun Chujio was probably just curious and came to listen. If she could successfully draw it, it would be a miracle. Everyone looked at Yun Chujio. They felt that according to Yun Chujio's personality, She would definitely act like a scoundrel. If she acted like a scoundrel and refused to go out, Teacher Yang might not be able to do anything about it. Occasionally missing content. Please report errors in time. Teacher Yang, is what you said true? If I draw it, will you allow me to listen in the future? Yun Chujo asked with a smile. Teacher Yang nodded. Of course. If you can do it, I will allow you to listen in on my lessons in the future. Yun Chujo asked He Hongchuan to move aside. She left her seat and walked to the podium. Then she asked Teacher Yang very naturally, how do I draw? Teacher Yang almost fainted from anger. What did she mean by how do I draw? Yun Chujo saw Teacher Yang's dumbfounded face and quickly added, what I mean is, how do I demonstrate? Do I use a talisman brush to draw? Teacher Yang said unhappily, how else do you think I would draw? Could it be drawing with my finger? Yun Chujo complained in her heart. What's wrong with using her finger to draw? I can use my finger to draw. Don't see too much of it. Even though this fellow was complaining, she still obediently took out the talisman pen from her storage ring and walked to the operating table. There were ready-made talisman papers and demon beast blood on the operating table. Yun Chujo picked up the talisman pen and dipped it in demon beast blood. Everyone thought that when she started drawing, this fellow threw down the talisman pen and ran to the front of the shadow stone. Although everyone did not dare to laugh out loud, they all had gloating expressions on their faces. This Yun Chujo was now on the sedan chair and her ears were pricked. Could it be that she thought that she would be able to successfully draw it just by looking at it for a while? Dream on. He Hongchuan's hands were tightly clenched. There was only one wish in his heart, and that was that Yun Chujo could not draw it. That way he would no longer be a threat. Teacher Yang watched Yun Chujo's actions coldly from the side. His expression was full of contempt. Although this Yun Chujo was very smart and her spiritual power had improved, she thought too simply about talismans. Only one person out of 1,000 cultivators could draw talismans, and only one person out of 1,000 who could draw talismans could become a talisman master. Only 1 out of 10,000 talisman masters could draw high-grade talismans. So, did this little girl Yun Chujo think that she could draw just by looking at it? She really overestimated herself. Yun Chujo looked at it for a while and then raised her paw. Teacher Yang, I found a problem. Can you please answer it? Teacher Yang curled his lips and said, what problem? Don't drag it out. If you don't meet the standard, even if you find the dean to talk to you, I won't allow you to listen. Yun Chujo said with a smile, it's not a big problem. Can you lend me the ruler? Teacher Yang was stunned and a strange thought arose in his mind. Could it be that this Yun Chujo wanted to hit someone with the ruler? Although Teacher Yang was suspicious, he still handed the ruler to Yun Chujo. The students sitting at the front subconsciously shrank back. This little devil had a criminal record. He would beat people up if they didn't agree with him. It was better to be careful. Yun Chujo was really mean. She deliberately shook the ruler, scaring the few students so much that their hearts almost jumped out. After Yun Chujo broke the ruler. Then she raised the ruler and pointed at a spot on the shadow stone. Teacher Yang, I feel that the lines here are a little strange. If this is a real talisman, I'm afraid that when it is activated, the power of the earth-cracking talisman should be only 1/10 of the normal talisman, or even less. Although the students below were a little afraid that Yun Chujo would find fault, they still laughed out loud. Was this Yun Chujo's brain sick? Would Teacher Yang use a problematic talisman to demonstrate? Who did she think she was? Coming here to act like a big clove of garlic, she really overestimated herself and brought disgrace upon herself. Teacher Yang was amused. Yun Chujo, if you don't know how to draw, just say it. This shadow stone has been used for thousands of years, and no one has ever raised any objections. Besides, how is there anything strange about this line? Although He Hongchuan tried his best to hold it in, his eyes were full of schadenfreude. Aha, this Yun Chujo was really stupid. She actually dared to question the information of the shadow stone. This time, even if she acted shamelessly, she wouldn't be able to stay. Yun Chujo glanced at the crowd and said calmly, the lines here seem smooth, But the person who drew this talisman was probably lacking in spiritual power at that time, so the lines here are obviously weaker. The person who drew it may have discovered this problem later, so the lines at the back also intentionally reduced the strength. This at least ensured that the talisman was completed smoothly, but once it was activated, the spiritual power might very well break here, and at that time, the power of the entire earth-shattering talisman would be greatly reduced. When the students heard Yoon Choo-ji's words, they all scoffed. Some people could not hold it in anymore and whispered, "It seems that this Yoon Choo-jo has been too complacent recently. Does she really think that she is the favored child of Tian Dao? That's right. Does she think that it's drawing and not using force at all? That's pure nonsense. A person should know their own limits. She's really too arrogant." Teacher Yang looked at the shadow stone carelessly and then sneered, "Yoon Choo-jo, what you're saying is pure nonsense. Why would I take out a problematic shadow stone to teach you guys? Get out." Yoon Choo-jo blinked her eyes. "Teacher Yang, is your memory not good? I haven't even started drawing yet. If I can draw 1/10 of the earth-shattering talisman, what right do you have to chase me away?" Teacher Yang choked. He was so angry that he had forgotten that there was such a thing. "If you want to draw, hurry up and draw. Don't waste everyone's time," Teacher Yang said in a bad mood. He felt that Yoon Choo-jo was just being shameless. If she could draw it, it would be a ghost. Then yes, he saw a ghost. All the students in the classroom felt that they had seen a ghost. Yoon Choo-jo held the 1/10 of the ground-cracking talisman in her hand and said with a smile, "Teacher Yang, do you think it meets your standards?" Teacher Yang, who had seen a ghost in broad daylight, could only grit his teeth and said, "It does. However, if you disturb the classroom discipline again, you will get out." Yoon Choo-jo smiled non-committally and swaggered back to her seat. Tears streamed down Hee Hongchwan's face. It's over. He would have to sit next to this pervert in his talisman lessons. Yoon Choo-jo did not have the time to bother with him. She carefully memorized the earth-shattering talisman on the shadow stone. This thing was much higher in grade than the sudden-shattering talisman, so its power must be pretty good. When she returned to the dormitory, she would definitely draw dozens of sacks of it, so that she could torture it in the future. However, it seemed that she did not have much talisman paper left in her storage ring. She would have to go out and buy more when it was time to rest. Teacher Yang held back his anger and explained a part of the drawing method of the Earth Fisher talisman. After class, he put away the shadow stone and left angrily. After Teacher Yang returned to his office, the teachers saw that his expression was strange. Some of them asked, "Old Yang, what happened to you?" Teacher Yang said angrily, "Don't mention it. That Yoon Choo-jo is that Yoon Choo-jo who loves to stir up trouble the most. I don't know what has gotten into her, but she came to my class to listen in." Just as Teacher Yang finished speaking, Teacher Liu, who was teaching Yoon Choo-ji's talisman seal class, said with a smile, "Although that little girl has a temperamental temperament, she is not unreasonable. She was listening in on a class. Why did she make you so angry?" Teacher Yang looked at Teacher Liu in annoyance. "Isn't she unreasonable? If she was just listening in, it would have been fine. But she insisted that there was something wrong with the information on the shadow stone I used in class. Do you think she was just looking for trouble?" When the other teachers heard Teacher Yang's words, they immediately echoed, "What? She said there was a problem with the information on the shadow stone? You must be joking. What could a little girl like her see through?" "That's right. Besides, the information on the shadow stone has been used for hundreds of years. How could there be a problem?" This Yoon Choo-jo was adopted by the Yi family as the daughter of the first wife. The last time she saved a first-year student at the heavenly pit of the divine axe. She must have been a little too complacent. She really overestimated herself. Everyone was talking at once. Then Teacher Liu asked curiously, "Old Yang, what question did she ask?" The other teachers were also very curious. They all looked at Teacher Yang. Teacher Yang simply took out the shadow stone and then repeated what Yoon Choo-jo said. Then, he said sarcastically, "She really overestimated herself. How could a little girl like her see through her strength? And she even said some nonsense about her strength being greatly reduced. It really makes people laugh." When the teachers heard Teacher Yang's words, they all shook their heads. It seemed that this Yoon Chujo was really too impetuous. She was simply spouting nonsense. This shadow stone had been used for thousands of years. Could it be that all the teachers were inferior to a little girl like her? The crowd discussed for a while and then switched to another topic. She was just a little girl who did not know the immensity of heaven and earth. After being persuaded by everyone, the anger in Teacher Yang's heart had mostly dissipated. Just as he was about to put away the shadow stone, he saw Teacher Lin from the Miscellaneous Affairs Department walk in with a teacher. The teachers from the Talisman office were stunned. Teacher Lin was the chief teacher of the Miscellaneous Affairs Department. Why was he here? Everyone knew Teacher Yuan, who was behind Teacher Lin. Teacher Yuan distributed teaching materials, such as the shadow stone, sound recording stone, or talisman paper needed for teaching. Everyone exchanged pleasantries. Teacher Lin said somewhat embarrassedly, "Everyone, I'm really sorry. Little Yuan used to be in charge of distributing school materials. This year, he only started distributing teaching materials, so he's not very familiar with the business." Teacher Yang and the others were confused. What did his familiarity with the business have to do with their talisman papers? Teacher Lin glared at Teacher Yuan. "You tell me. What's going on?" Teacher Yuan's face turned red. He took out a jade slip. On it was the record of receiving teaching materials. Then he said unnaturally, "I'm really sorry, everyone. When school started, Teacher Yang came to my place to receive a batch of teaching materials. One of them was the shadow stone of the earth-splitting talisman. I took it by mistake. According to the records, the shadow stone in your hand was used to explain a case of failure." The room immediately became silent. The teacher at the talisman seal, especially Teacher Yang, felt that his mind was blank. He actually took a wrong Earth Fisher talisman shadow stone? He was still eagerly lecturing other students. If the affairs department was said to have made a mistake in their work, then he was simply misleading people's children. Teacher Yang's voice was slightly trembling. "Teacher Yuan, show me the description of the shadow stone." Teacher Yuan saw that Teacher Yang's expression was not good, and his voice was trembling. He felt that Teacher Yang must be very angry. He quickly showed Teacher Yang the relevant records of the shadow stone. The other teachers also gathered around. On the jade slip it was written, "Shadow stone number 159, a failure case of the earth-splitting talisman." During the process of drawing the talisman, the spiritual power of the talisman was not sufficient, and the strength of the talisman was obviously weakened at 1/10 of the pattern. Although the talisman was barely completed after adjusting the spiritual power, this talisman was only slightly stronger than the useless one. This case mainly emphasized to the students that during the process of drawing the talisman, the output of spiritual power must be uniform. Even the slightest difference would result in a great difference in the power of the talisman. Teacher Lu walked to the back of the shadow stone and indeed found the number in the lower right corner. It was indeed 159. It seemed that this shadow stone was indeed a defective product, a failure case. Teacher Yang's head buzzed. It was Teacher Lu and the other teachers who helped to get the correct shadow stone. This shadow stone with the number 159 did not return. They wanted to stay and study it again. Teacher Lin and Teacher Yuan exchanged some pleasantries before leaving. The atmosphere at the talisman seal was very awkward. They felt their faces burn. They had participated in the discussion just now, belittling Yoon Chujo to the point that she was worthless. They ridiculed her for being a little girl who did not know the immensity of heaven and earth. In the end now it was a slap in the face. Especially Teacher Yang. His face hurt as much as he scolded her previously. Teacher Lu was obviously more open-minded. He smiled and said, "All right, it's inevitable for people to be negligent. It's a good thing that we discovered it earlier. It can also be considered as a lesson for us." As Teacher Lu spoke, he walked up to the shadow stone and carefully observed it. He really did discover the subtle differences in the lines. He could not help but sigh as he looked at it. "If I didn't deliberately observe it, I really wouldn't have noticed it. Tell me, how did that Yoon Chujo discover it?" With Teacher Lu's words, the awkward atmosphere in the room finally eased up a little. A few teachers gathered around and also carefully observed the Earth Fisher rune patterns on the shadow stone. They had taken it for granted before, so they did not take a closer look. Now that they had seen the problem, Their old faces flushed red. Teacher Yang's face was as red as a monkey's butt. With great difficulty, he managed to squeeze out a sentence. Next time during the talisman class, I'll ask that little girl. Everyone knew that he was embarrassed, so they all changed the topic. The awkward atmosphere in the room was finally resolved. A certain Joe did not know that because of her words, the teachers at the talisman office were all embarrassed. She was sitting across from Tian Daocliff, chatting with Tian Daocliff. Yun Chuzhou was talking about the trivial matters of the Yi family. As for the heavenly Daocliff, it had been lonely and cold for so many years. Even the trivial matters were listened to with great interest. Occasionally, she would even help Yun Chuzhou scold them. The sun was setting in the west. Yun Chuzhou stood up and stretched. Little Tian, I'll come and chat with you another day. I'm leaving. Wait, I remember something. There was a strange person. He seemed to want to go down to the bottom of the valley. I used some divine powers, but he didn't succeed. Who is it? Yun Chuzhou thought of the divine axe heavenly pit teleportation formation. She felt that it might be related to the person that Tian Daocliff mentioned. I don't know that person. In my opinion, those people all look the same. Only you are different, Tian Daoya muttered. You can at least tell if they are students or teachers, right? The corner of Yun Chuzhou's eyes twitched. It turned out that Tian Dao was also face-blind. Teacher. He is wearing the teacher's clothes. Teacher? Yun Chuzhou was in a dilemma. Xingtian Academy had hundreds of teachers. They couldn't possibly bring their portraits over for the heavenly Daocliff to identify, right? Besides, the heavenly Daocliff had face blindness, so they might not be able to recognize them through the portraits. Besides, although that person wanted to go down to the bottom of the valley, he might not be the one who destroyed the teleportation array. Thinking of this, Yun Chuzhou told the heavenly Daocliff to pay more attention and remember a few characteristics of that person next time. Then she strolled out of the heavenly Daocliff. As Yun Chuzhou walked, she thought about the destruction of the teleportation formation last time. Old Master Yi said that this matter had nothing to do with Gu Shi and Lu Shi. Then who was the one who instigated it? And who was the one who destroyed the teleportation formation? Yi Xinwan? Yun Chuzhou felt that it was unlikely. Although people like Yi Xinwan were vicious, they didn't have any shrewdness and wouldn't use such a roundabout method. Moreover, at that time, Yi Xinwan had not been instigated by Lu Shi, so she should not have wanted to kill her. Yun Chuzhou thought of the assassination she had encountered in the hidden Tiger City. That person was wearing the clothes of the Yi family, but it did not seem to be someone from the Gu Shi and Lu Shi. Could it be that someone from the Yi family wanted her life? Perhaps it was a branch of the Yi family? However, the branch of the Yi family did not have any conflict of interest with her, so there was no need to spend so much money to kill her. The more Yun Chuzhou thought about it, the more clueless she became, so she simply stopped thinking about it. After returning to the dormitory, this guy seemed to be on steroids. He took out the talisman paper and began to draw the earth-shattering talisman. Although she had already understood the pattern of the earth-shattering talisman by heart, she still failed the first 2 times. Halfway through drawing, due to the unstable output of spiritual power, the talisman paper turned into ashes. Yun Chuzhou steadied her mind and started drawing the 3rd time. This time she succeeded. However, Yun Chuzhou shook her head discontentedly. It's only a low-grade talisman. I still need to practice a few more times. Fortunately, there were no outsiders present. Otherwise, if they heard what Yun Chuzhou said, they would probably be so angry that they would vomit blood. She had already succeeded after drawing only 3 pieces, and you were still not satisfied. What a pervert! Yun Chuzhou drew a few more pieces and finally succeeded in drawing a supreme-grade earth-shattering talisman. This guy first showed off for a while, then he started to draw talismans crazily until the blank talismans in his storage ring were all drawn away. Only then did he stop, still not satisfied. TSK, this talisman drawing was also addictive. It seemed that it was better to buy more talismans during the break. Yun Chuzhou washed up briefly and took out the class schedule for each grade. The next afternoon, the 2nd grade had an alchemy class, so this guy decided to continue his freeloading. Firstly, She had yet to obtain the 7-transformation life creation pill that she had promised the Mo family's great elder. Secondly, Guichao's mouth was becoming more and more crafty. He was already fed up with Yun Chujia's existing pills and kept clamoring about being hungry. Therefore, after taking an afternoon nap the next day, this fellow once again came to the second grade's day classroom. As most of the students only chose to take the 5 techniques of cultivators, the students in the classroom were all unfamiliar faces. When they saw Yun Chujio, they were naturally extremely curious. What was this little devil doing here? They heard that she had stirred up some trouble in the Talisman Seal class yesterday. Was she also trying to stir up trouble in the alchemy class? Why did she target the second grade? Why didn't she go to another grade? Among the crowd, a pair of sinister eyes stared at Yun Chujio. It was Zhu Jingtong. Although many people said that Zhu Jingtai's death had nothing to do with Yun Chujio, he still hated Yun Chujio. If she hadn't meddled, his younger brother might not have died. As for Yun Chujio saving other students, what did the lives of those people have to do with him? Zhu Jingtong was afraid that Yun Chujio would discover him, so he quickly averted his gaze. He could not confront Yun Chujio head-on right now. He had to wait for an opportunity, a chance that he could hit with one strike. Yun Chujio glanced around and found an empty seat next to a fatty. She walked over and asked with a smile, "Senior, is there anyone inside?" The fatty stood up and let Yun Chujio enter and sit down. A gossipy light flashed in his eyes as he asked with a flattering smile, "Junior Yun, are you planning to sit in on the alchemy class?" When the fatty saw Yun Chujio nod, he continued to say fawningly, "Your luck is not bad. Normally our alchemy class goes to the alchemy room. It's just that today is a theory class, so we will be in the classroom." The corner of Yun Chujio's eyes twitched. It was actually a theory class again? Speaking of which, she was also confused. The alchemy class in the classroom was naturally a theory class. Alchemy was not like Talisman Seals where one could just find a place to operate it. However, since she had already come, she could not leave now. So theory was theory. After a while, Instructor Luo, who was in class, walked in. Instructor Luo did not notice Yun Chujio. He said to the crowd, "The alchemy room was originally arranged for the use of the 3rd grade, but because the instructor who taught them had something urgent, their class was cancelled. Therefore, we will still go to the alchemy room for this class. Let's go." The crowd followed Instructor Luo out of the classroom and headed to the alchemy room. Yun Chujio swaggered behind the crowd. She did not look guilty at all, as if she was a 2nd grader. The crowd did not dare to expose her, for fear of her revenge. Thus, this fellow successfully followed the crowd to the alchemy room. This alchemy room was prepared for the students. In the middle was the instructor's operating table, and around it was the student's operating table. Under the operating table was the earth fire that was connected. As long as one pressed the switch, they could use it. It was very convenient. Yun Chujio shamelessly occupied the best spot. The rest of the people dared to be angry but did not dare to say anything. They could only hope that Instructor Luo would discover this dove that was occupying the magpie's nest. Instructor Luo was probably too focused on his lecture and did not pay much attention to it. Of course, he did not think that there would be people who would come to take advantage of the class. The main reason was that no one had ever done this before. Instructor Luo took out some herbs from his storage ring. He said to the crowd, "Today, I will demonstrate the refinement of the level 11 Clear Heart and Break Adversity pill. I have already explained the formula to you. Today, I will mainly observe the steps of my refinement." Instructor Luo pointed casually. "You recite the formula for the Clear Heart and Break Adversity pill." Yun Chujio looked at Teacher Luo's finger with an expression of exasperation. Why was it so difficult to get a lesson? Getting a lesson on talismans and now getting a lesson on alchemy. Why was it so difficult? The students couldn't help but gloat. They deserved it. "I told you to take the best seat, but you got your comeuppance this time, didn't you?" Yun Chujio complained in her heart. How would she know the formula for the heart cleansing and breaking adversity pill? If she knew the formula, she wouldn't have come to the class. Teacher Luo, who was fiddling with the herbs, saw that there was no movement for a long time. He then raised his head and saw the little girl standing there. He cried out in surprise, Yun Chujo? How did you get in? Yun Chujo thought to herself, of course I walked in. Could it be that I crawled in? Teacher Luo, I'm here to listen in. I've always admired you. I heard from others that the most standard pill refinement technique in Xingtian Academy is you, so I wanted to broaden my horizons. You won't reject my humble request, right? Yun Chujo said with twinkling eyes. Teacher Luo was stunned at first, then subconsciously straightened his back. The most standard alchemy technique? Yun Chujo was right. Although he wasn't a top-notch alchemist, his alchemy technique was still impressive. Alright, if that's the case, as long as you don't cause trouble, I won't pursue the matter. Teacher Luo indicated that Yun Chujo could continue to stay. The students were all dumbfounded. How could this be possible? Did they just have to suck up to her? Zhu Jingtong gritted her teeth. These instructors must be afraid of the Yi family's influence. They were all snobs. Instructor Luo pointed at another student and asked him to answer the prescription for the heart-shattering adversity pill. When that student answered, Yun Chujo silently memorized it in her heart. The formulas for high-grade medicinal pills were usually not passed on to the public. Only the formulas for medicinal pills below grade 8 were passed on in the world. Even grade 9 and grade 10 formulas were difficult to obtain, not to mention grade 11 formulas. The Mo family's great elder only had a dozen or so formulas in his hands. Seeing that the student answered fluently, Instructor Luo nodded his head in satisfaction and began to refine the clear heart and break adversity pill. Since refining the pill required concentration, Teacher Luo did not explain and only let everyone watch by themselves. Yun Chujia's eyes widened as she watched. The process of refining the pill was not too special. It was just that the students needed to experience the timing and sequence of placing the herbs carefully. Teacher Luo was most likely demonstrating his alchemy skills, so every step was done perfectly. After about an hour, the alchemy furnace began to emit a medicinal fragrance. The strange grass in Yun Chujia's dantian began to stir. Yun Chujo scolded it for a while before it became obedient. It was Guaichao. Yun Chujo somewhat understood the feeling of the strange grass. It was like seeing a delicacy that she had never eaten before. Naturally, she would drool. After a while, Instructor Luo opened the alchemy furnace. There were 9 pills at the bottom of the furnace. 5 of them were high grade and 4 were middle grade. Instructor Luo was very satisfied. Normally, his pill success rate was only 80%, but today he actually exceeded his standard. Instructor Luo told everyone the things they needed to pay attention to. Then, he asked the handyman to distribute the medicinal herbs and let everyone refine them. The medicinal herbs were all fixed in quantity. A certain Jiao who came to freeload could only watch as everyone else was given the medicinal herbs, but she was the only one who didn't have any. This fellow curled her lips. If she did not have any, then so be it. This young lady would practice in secret when she went back, just in time to avoid exposing herself. As there were no medicinal herbs, Yun Chujo could only watch others refine them in boredom. She shook her head as she watched. These people looked like they would not be able to successfully refine the medicine. For example, that boy asking you to refine medicine was not asking you to commit suicide. Why were you trembling? And that girl asking you to refine medicine was not asking you to embroider flowers. It would be strange if she dawdled and succeeded in refining it. Teacher Luo saw that Yun Chujo was continuously shaking her head, and could not help but find it funny. This little girl was most likely just curious and thus came to seek lessons. He had heard from Teacher Jean that this Yun Chujo was a grade 10 alchemist. However, the difference between an alchemist and a grade 10 alchemist was like the difference between heaven and earth. Moreover, she might not really be a grade 10 alchemist. Yun Chujo touched her chin. What Mao Mao Qiu said made sense. If the Supreme Void Mirror caused a commotion, it would attract the attention of others. She knew very well that one would be punished for possessing a treasure. This fellow thought about it and decided to fuse with the bottom of the heavenly Dao cliff. If that was the case, even if there was a strange phenomenon, Everyone would only think that it was the Heavenly Dao Cliff's strange phenomenon. Yun Chujo thought of this and hurriedly ran to the Heavenly Dao Cliff. After confirming that there was no one following her, Yun Chujo got the Heavenly Dao Cliff to bring her to the bottom of the cliff, and then she got the ball of yarn to start forming seals. Yun Chujo finally understood what the ball of yarn was talking about. Fuck. This time it was really too big. As the ball of yarn formed seals, the great void mirror in Yun Chuji's dantian floated out. The seventh fragment was embedded in a gap, and then the great void mirror emitted a dazzling light. A faint sound of silk and bamboo could be heard in the sky. It's over. It's over. Only a fool would not know that a treasure had appeared at the bottom of the valley. When that time came, many people would definitely think of ways to go down to the bottom of the valley to search for treasures. Yun Chujo was not in the mood to ask what additional abilities the wool ball had. What she was worried about now was how to escape. Although no one had gone down to the bottom in the past, that was because there was no attraction and no one was worth the risk. But it was different now. They would definitely think of a way to go down to the bottom. Yun Chujo was so regretful that her intestines turned green. Even if they did not find her this time, the next time she was struck by lightning, this place would not be safe anymore. If they knew this would happen, they would have gone to another place to fuse with the broken pieces of the Great Void Mirror. The Heavenly Dao Cliff did not know the worry in Yun Chuji's heart. It said with disdain, "What rubbish is this? It's just a broken mirror." Yet it made such a big scene. It's really shameless. The Cliff of Heavenly Axiom would never admit that it was jealous of the Supreme Void Mirror. A broken item actually occupied the little girl's dantian. It was really shameless. The Supreme Void Mirror was obviously not to be trifled with. Could not speak, but it did not mean that it would not take revenge. The Supreme Void Mirror rammed into the Cliff of Heavenly Axiom. The entire mountain of the Cliff of Heavenly Axiom shook from the impact. It was so angry that it scolded, "Damn it! You're really shameless. Why don't you try hitting me again?" Yun Chujo was still upset when she saw the two of them fighting. She cursed angrily, "Little Jingjing, get your ass back here. If you don't come back, you can stay outside from now on." The Great Void Mirror shook a few times and hid between Yun Chuji's brows. "What the fuck? Get your ass over here. What's going on?" Mao Mao Chou looked innocent. "Master, I warned you. It will cause a huge commotion." Yun Chujo choked. Alright, it was her fault for not thinking properly. She really did not expect the commotion to be so huge. What should she do now? She could ask the Heavenly Dao Cliff to send her to the dormitory, but there would definitely be a golden light flashing. When that time came, it would be as if there was no silver in this place. Yun Chujo told the Heavenly Dao Cliff about her worries. The Heavenly Dao Cliff said nonchalantly, "What's so difficult about that? Why don't I just use the golden light to block them all?" Yun Chujo shook her head. "It's better not to block them. The more you act like this, the more they think that there are treasures down there. I won't be able to come here to be struck by lightning in the future. Besides, they will block me at the bottom of the hill. I will be discovered the moment I leave. Then what do you think we should do? I can't make you disappear." Tiandao Cliff said helplessly. Yun Chuji's heart skipped a beat. When she was almost killed by the heavenly lightning, the Great Void Mirror was sucked into her body. She wondered if she could try it again now. Yun Chujo shared her thoughts with the ball of yarn. After the ball of yarn communicated with the Great Void Mirror, she said with some difficulty, "Xiaojing said that every time we bring you in, it consumes a lot of spiritual power. This is a chance to save your life. Are you sure you want to use it?" Yun Chujo hesitated when she heard what the ball of yarn said. It would be a waste if she used it like this. Just as Yun Chujo was in a dilemma, she heard the Heavenly Dao Cliff say, "There are many people coming this way. Make a decision quickly. Do you want me to block them all?" Yun Chujo gritted her teeth. "Get me further away from Xingtian Academy. It's the day of rest tomorrow anyway. I'll think of a way to sneak in again." As soon as Yun Chujo finished her sentence, she felt a golden light flashing in front of her eyes. When she regained her sight, she wished that she could move the Heavenly Dao Cliff to the Yugong Mountain. Fuck. She wanted it to get her further away, but couldn't it choose a good place? Why did it teleport her to the Heavenly Fire Valley? Why did it teleport her to the cave of the fire-eating Xiao? Yun Chujiu squeezed out a dry smile and waved her claws at the fire-eating Xiao. What a coincidence we meet again. It's really fate that brought us together. What did it mean when enemies met and their eyes turned red? This was how the fire-eating Xiao was now. This stinky girl had toyed with it twice and even stole the corpse of a three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagle. She actually dared to come back? She was courting death. Yun Chujiu saw that fire-eating Xiao's eyes were red, and her hair was standing on end. She hurriedly shouted, "Sir, don't be rash. Listen to me. I came specially to apologize this time. Think about it. I'm not a fool. I knew that you wanted to eat me, so why did I still come to court death? Sigh. Last time, I was greedy and took away the corpse of the three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagle. After I went back, I was tormented by guilt and regret. I couldn't eat properly and couldn't sleep, so I came to you to confess. I came with sincerity. You are such a noble divine beast, you will definitely forgive me, right?" Fire-eating Xiao looked at Yun Chujiu suspiciously. Although he didn't completely believe her, he didn't take any further action. Yun Chujiu saw that there was a door. She quickly said, "Sir, I don't have 2 taels of meat on me. It's not even enough to fill the gaps between your teeth. I can't return the three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagle's corpse to you, but I have a lot of pills here. I'll give them to you as compensation." As Yun Chujiu spoke, she took out a basin of hemostatic pills and placed it on the ground. Fire-eating Xiao's huge eyes were filled with confusion. Since when did humans not use porcelain bottles to store medicinal pills in basins? What? They were all supreme-grade medicinal pills. Were the alchemy skills of humans so advanced now? Fire-eating Xiao weighed the three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagle's corpse and the basin of hemostasis pills. It seemed that this basin of hemostasis pills was more useful to it. Thus, fire-eating Xiao's attitude completely eased up. Yun Chujiu's heart was finally relieved. There weren't many people here, so the golden light just now shouldn't have been seen by anyone. When the limelight passed, she would return to Tianluo City, and then sneak into Xingtian Academy without anyone noticing. Those people couldn't find anything at the bottom of the valley, so they would only think about the heavenly Dao cliff. Then the storm would be over. Thinking of this, Yun Chujiu changed her clothes and took a fifth of the disguising pills. This way, even if someone really came, her identity would not be exposed. Fire-eating Xiao watched as the little girl's appearance began to change. It was very curious. This human's pill was indeed magical. It did not know what it would look like if it ate it. Fire-eating Xiao was driven by curiosity. It jumped over and ate the remaining transformation pills in Yun Chujiu's hands. Yun Chujiu was dumbfounded. Was there something wrong with this fire-eating Xiao? Was the medicinal pill also randomly eaten? Moreover, she did not have many transformation pills left. Now, more than half of them were wasted by it. It was really unlucky. Yun Chujiu was unlucky. Fire-eating Xiao was even more unlucky. Next, Yun Chujiu witnessed a miracle. Or rather, she saw a ghost. The huge body of the fire-eating Xiao began to rapidly shrink, and its appearance also underwent a huge change. In less than 15 minutes, a hill-sized fire-eating Xiao turned into a 1-foot-long fire-breathing cat. Yes, it was still a kitten. The fire-eating Xiao looked at its claws, then raised its head to look at Yun Chujiu, who had turned into a giant, and fainted with a choking sound. Yun Chujiu rubbed her eyes and pinched herself again. Hiss, it really hurts. Yun Chujiu felt as if she had opened the door to a new world. So it turned out that this disguise pill could not only change one's appearance, but it could also make demon beasts smaller or even change their species. A beautiful scene instantly appeared in this fellow's mind. She threw out a lot of disguise pills, and those demon beasts instantly turned from big to small and cute. When the time came, she could establish a temporary contract with them. Then she could lead the demonic beast army to slaughter everyone. Xiao Hanyo asked weakly from inside the spirit beast's bag, "Master, why did you establish a temporary contract? Can't you just take them? Are you stupid? Why did you raise so many demonic beasts to eat and drink? I'm so poor raising you guys, how can I raise them?" Xiao Hanio shrunk its neck and the other three looked at it with disapproval on their faces. Calling it you owe me. Why did you ask if there was nothing to do? Did you get scolded? Yun Chuzhou was reminded of a big problem by Xiao Hanio's interruption. She only had 2 transformation pills left in her hands. No matter how amazing the transformation pills were, she did not have any more. Although she could refine them herself, 2 of them were very rare. One was the lotus seeds of the 1,000-leaf golden grade lotus, and the other was the dragon blood ginseng. It was difficult for a clever woman to cook without rice. No matter how powerful she was, she could not refine them. Just as Yun Chujia's thoughts were running wild, the fire-eating Xiao on the ground woke up. Its movements were exactly the same as Yun Chujia's. It rubbed its eyes with its claws and even slapped itself twice. Then, in despair, it realized that everything in its eyes had become incomparably huge. Then it rolled its eyes and fainted again. Yun Chuzhou kicked the fire-eating Xiao with the tip of her foot. Isn't your mental quality too bad? Just became a little smaller. Didn't it just change from a fire-eating Xiao to a kitten? What's the big deal? The fire-eating Xiao, which had just recovered, choked and fainted for the 3rd time. A kitten? It couldn't live anymore. It was a magnificent level 45 demonic beast, but now it had turned into a level 4 fire-breathing cat? Damn it, it was still a kitten. It no longer had the face to live in this world. It had let down its ancestors. It was still a single Xiao. Didn't even have a wife. Could it be that it could only marry a cat in the future? And then give birth to a bunch of kittens? The more it thought about it, the more it had no way to live. Fire-eating Xiao decided to commit suicide. Therefore it crashed into a rock. Then, it tragically discovered that it was really too weak. Other than the big bump on its head, it was still alive and kicking. Yun Chuzhou watched fire-eating Xiao self-harm with relish at the side. From time to time she even helped to suggest, kittens, run a few steps and hit the rock again. That way you will be dead. Kitten, why don't you strangle yourself to death? Walk forward. You'll be eaten by a random demonic beast. The fire-eating Xiao was almost angered to death by this fellow. It was all her fault. If it wasn't for her stupid pill, would it have become like this? The more it thought about it, the angrier it got. It spat out a fireball at Yun Chuzhou. Yun Chuzhou didn't even try to dodge it. She casually pulled. The ball of fire was extinguished. Kitten, do you think you are still fire-eating Xiao? You still dare to attack me? I can crush you to death with one finger. My spiritual pets were just worried about not having any toys. They could use you to have fun. As Yun Chuzhou spoke, she released the 3 silly cuties. When the little black bird saw the fire-eating Xiao, it cried out, "Wah wah! Where did this little cat come from? There are still such low-level demon beasts in the immortal Yuan continent?" Xiao Hong, the little red fox, directly kicked the fire-eating Xiao away with her claws. This damned fire-eating Xiao had tormented its master many times. Finally it could take revenge. Xiao He glanced at the fire-eating Xiao that had fallen to the ground like a dog gnawing on its feces. What the fuck? Why did you have to turn into a kitten? You were deliberately going against it. Therefore, Xiao He and the little red fox, fire-eating Xiao, took it as a shuttlecock. One claw, one claw. They were having a great time. Fire-eating Xiao finally understood what it meant to live a life worse than death. It was simply unlucky for 8 lifetimes. It must have owed this wretched girl in its previous life. Ever since it met her, the fire marrow had disappeared. Ever since it met her, it had been played around. Ever since it met her, it had changed from a level 45 demonic beast to a kitten. Woo-woo, it didn't want to live anymore. At this time, the sky had completely darkened. Yun Chuzhou was afraid of attracting other demonic beasts, so she put the 3 silly cubs into her storage ring, and then entered the belly of the mountain from last time. Although many days had passed, the belly of the mountain was still very hot. Yun Chuzhou felt that there might still be remnants of fire marrow underground. Otherwise, the temperature in the belly of the mountain would not be so high all the time. Yun Chuzhou blocked the entrance of the cave with a stone, and took out the luminous pearl to illuminate it. Then she took out a chair and sat on it. She looked at the fire-eating Xiao that was dead on the ground with a faint smile. Kitten, do you want to return to your original appearance? Fire-eating Xiao, who was pretending to be dead on the ground, immediately jumped up. It opened its mouth and said, The last bit of self-respect in fire-eating Xiao's heart had also disappeared. Damn it, even its voice had changed. It was really too ashamed to see a beast. Yun Chujiu laughed until her stomach hurt. This transfiguration pill was really a great invention. To humans it was a transfiguration pill, but to demonic beasts it was a transfiguration pill. Fire-eating Xiao dared to be angry but did not dare to speak. It bit the corner of Yun Chujia's skirt and acted coquettishly without a teacher. The corner of Yun Chujia's eyes twitched. When she thought of the hill-sized fire-eating Xiao acting coquettishly to her, she felt goosebumps all over her body. Yun Chujiu kicked the fire-eating Xiao and rolled it away. She sneered and said, Now you know how to please me? Weren't you very awesome before? The fire-eating Xiao had no choice but to lower its head and curl up into a ball. It looked at Yun Chujiu pitifully. It had already thought it through. If its face was gone, so be it. Now, only this stinky girl could make it return to its original state. It would first make her happy and then find a chance to take revenge in the future. Yun Chujiu curled her lips. Don't pretend to be pitiful with me. I still don't know what you're thinking. Don't you plan to get the antidote first and then settle the score with me? The fire-eating Xiao lowered its head guiltily and didn't dare to look at Yun Chujiu. It was aiming at her. This wretched girl was simply inhuman. How did she know what it was thinking? Yun Chujiu rubbed her chin and thought for a moment. Actually, she didn't really want to take in this fire-eating Xiao. Although the four in her spirit beast pouch were very weak now, their potential in the future was endless. Although this fire-eating Xiao had returned to its original form and was still quite formidable at the moment, there was probably limited space for it to grow in the future. When the fire-eating Xiao saw the change in Yun Chujiu's expression, it could not figure out what Yun Chujiu was thinking. It felt that this little girl was quite strange. Shouldn't ordinary people take advantage of the situation and contract it? It was equivalent to a human's sixth layer of spiritual space. Yun Chujiu glanced at the fire-eating Xiao. I really dislike you. Your rank is too low. You're neither a divine beast nor an immortal beast. You're not even a mutated beast. Tell me if I take you in, I'll lower my style. Fire-eating Xiao was so angry that it was twitching. You're really shameless. Divine beast? Immortal beast? Mutated beast? Do you think these are all cabbages? You want to take me in but am not willing. I, a dignified 45th tier demonic beast, acknowledge you, a weak chicken, as its master? In your dreams. When the fire-eating Xiao was beyond redemption, Yun Chujiu continued, Now there are only two choices. One is to take you in as a spiritual pet, and the other is for me to kill you. Which do you choose? Why don't you choose to die? After all, you're so useless. It's a waste of resources to live. Meow, there's no way to live. Fire-eating Xiao fainted for the fourth time. And it fainted with its eyes open. It simply fainted with its eyes open, alright? Yun Chujiu ignored it. She took out the stone table, placed the food on it, and began to eat dinner. After waking up, fire-eating Xiao sniffed and quietly ran to the side to chew on the ore. However, it tragically discovered that the ore, which was originally like tofu, was now unable to chew on. Moreover, it tragically discovered that the human food that it originally disdained was now extremely attractive to it. Meow. Could it be that its body had turned into a cat, so its appetite had also turned into a fire-breathing cat? It could no longer live. The fire-eating Xiao originally wanted to be a fierce beast that would rather die than submit, but it would rather die than stay alive. Moreover, it was so hungry. The fire-eating Xiao slowly approached Yun Chujiu's feet, and used its claws to pull the corner of Yun Chujiu's skirt in a fawning manner. Take a look. Yun Chujiu lowered her head and looked at the fire-eating Xiao that had transformed into a cat. She threw a meat bun to it out of kindness. The fire-eating Xiao immediately caught it with its claws and began to devour it. Meow, it's so delicious, so delicious. Yun Chujiu held her chin as she looked at the fire-eating Xiao. In her previous life, she had seen many little girls raising cats, but because of her special status, she had never had the opportunity to raise one. Now raising one looked pretty good. In the future, she would find the lotus seeds of the thousand-leaf golden grade lotus and the dragon blood ginseng and refine a lot of transfiguration pills. When that time came, she would let the fire-eating Xiao maintain its appearance as a cat. Yes, that was what she would do. The certain Xiao, who was crazily chewing on the meat bun, did not know that his miserable days had been set in stone at this moment. In the countless nights that followed, the certain Xiao would be filled with regret. He had betrayed his moral integrity because of a meat bun. He had betrayed the dignity of the fire-eating Xiao. Sob, sob, don't say anything else. They were all tears. Hey, cat cub, do you choose to die or choose to be my spiritual beast? A certain Xiao stared at the meat bun on the table. Aim! Yun Chujo curled her lips. Using a meat bun to kidnap a spiritual beast, so be it. Yun Chujo bit her middle finger and established a contract with the fire-eating Xiao. The fire-eating Xiao did not recover for a long time. She actually established an equal contract with it? Was this little girl stupid? Didn't she know that the master pet contract was more restrictive to it? Little master, why did you establish an equal contract with me? Fire-eating Xiao stiffly changed the little girl to the little master. Yun Chujo threw a meat bun to fire-eating Xiao and said indifferently, "You don't owe me anything. I don't need you to die with me. If I really die, you'll be free." Fire-eating Xiao was stunned for a moment. In his heart, it seemed that he was no longer that conflicted about being bound by the contract. "Master, quickly give me the antidote." Fire-eating Xiao regained his senses and recalled the important matter. Yun Chujo touched her nose. "Cough, cough, I don't have the antidote." Fire-eating Xiao. In the cave, the miserable meowing of a cat could be heard. "Take a look, you are lying." "No lying, Xiao. I don't want to live anymore." Yun Chuji's eyes twitched. Could it be that this body had turned into a fire-breathing cat, and its personality had changed drastically? It was obviously a Tyrannosaurus Rex. How did it turn into a silly little cutie now? Stop howling. If a human had taken so many of your transformation pills, they would have returned to normal in 8 days. As for how long it would take for you to return to normal, I don't know. When the fire-eating Xiao heard that it could return to normal, it stopped howling and lowered its head to continue eating the meat buns. Couldn't be helped. Its body had become smaller and it would take a while to eat a bun. Sob, how sad. Yun Chujo asked the fire-eating Xiao to be on alert, and she slept through the night in a daze. The night was peaceful. It was probably the fire-eating Xiao's territory, so normal demonic beasts didn't dare to come over. Of course, this was because the time was short. If a few more days passed, those demonic beasts wouldn't be able to feel the pressure of the fire-eating Xiao, and would definitely come over to test it out. The next morning, Yun Chujo put some ores into her storage ring for the fire-eating Xiao to eat in the future. Yun Chujo left the belly of the mountain, carried the fire-eating Xiao onto the flying spirit tool, and headed to Heaven Punisher Academy's Tianluo City. Although the fire-eating Xiao was still a little uncomfortable, it was very curious about the colorful world outside. If it wasn't curious, it wouldn't have become a kitten. Yun Chujo was afraid that the fire-eating Xiao would expose her identity. When she got off the flying spirit tool, she put the fire-eating Xiao into the spirit beast's bag. Yun Chujo entered Tianluo City and found an inn to stay in. Then she sent a message to Shui Wuji and Jin Ji, agreeing on the time and place to meet the next day. In order to avoid complications, Yun Chujo did not leave the inn for the whole day. At noon the next day, Yun Chujo checked out of the room and went to a hidden place to change her clothes. She put on a bamboo hat and made several turns to the courtyard rented by the Yi family's guards. Although the Yi family's guards were curious about the bamboo hat that Miss Mao had brought, they did not suspect anything when they saw the token in Yun Chuji's hand and heard her voice. Soon Shui Wuji and Jin Ji arrived as well. The three of them entered the house and Yun Chujo took off the bamboo hat. The effects of the medicine would only dissipate in the evening. Yun Chujo told the two of them about what had happened, and then asked about the situation in the academy. Over the past 2 days, many people have gathered at the Heavenly Dao Cliff. I heard that the academy organized people to investigate the situation, But it seems that they did not find anything, Jinji said. Yun Chujo said proudly, it would be a miracle if they found anything. Alright, I'll let you guys take a look at my new cat cub. Although Shui Wuji and Jinji heard Yun Chuji's rough description, they were still shocked when they saw the fire-eating Xiao. It was completely a fire-breathing cat cub. No one would have thought that it was actually a level 45 fire-eating Xiao. Jinji, on the other hand, thought that the fire-eating Xiao was very cute. She wanted to tease it, but she did not expect the fire-eating Xiao to ignore her arrogantly. Yun Chujo pouted at the side and said, this is a foodie. If you give it some food, it will please you. The fire-eating Xiao looked like it had nothing to live for. It was just hungry yesterday, okay? It would not abandon its integrity just for a mouthful of food. However, when it saw the dried fish in Jinji's hand, it immediately circled around Jinji in a flattering manner. It felt very helpless in its heart. It did not want to be like this, but the dried fish looked so delicious. Meow meow meow. There was nothing wrong with cat love eating fish, right? That night, the three of them did not return to Xingtian Academy. Instead, they stayed in the house for the night. The next day after breakfast, Yun Chujo and the other two left the house and went to the grocery store. When they arrived at the grocery store, Yun Chujo said to the shop assistant, I want all the talisman papers here. Also, give me 200 talisman pens. The shop assistant, Miss Yu, you're not joking, right? The shop assistant wondered if she was still asleep. She wanted all the talisman paper in their store? And 200 talisman pens? Was she planning to use the talisman paper as firewood? Or to use the talisman pen as chopsticks? Yun Chujo widened her eyes. This shop assistant of yours is really interesting. Of course I'm not joking. I'll give you as much money as you want. Hurry up. Although the man still felt that this matter was ridiculous, he still let the cashier do the calculations and said, Miss, thank you for your patronage. A total of 6 million upper-grade spiritual stones. Yun Chujo nodded and readily transferred the spiritual stones to the cashier. Only now did the clerk believe that this person was really a big customer. The smile on his face suddenly became much more sincere, and he transferred the talisman paper and the talisman pen to Yun Chujo. Yun Chujo bought a bunch of miscellaneous things and then left the grocery store. The three of them strolled around for a while, and when they were about to find a restaurant to eat, they met Lu Jinwan and his sister. Lu Jinwan saw Yun Chujo and wanted to go forward to seek revenge, but she was stopped by Lu Pinyin. Lu Jinwan glared at Yun Chujo viciously and then left. Yun Chujo didn't put them in her eyes at all. Anyway, there were a lot of people who hated her, so she didn't need these two garlic heads. After the three of them had lunch, they strolled back to Xingtian Academy. Yun Chujo returned to her courtyard and rested for a while. Then she took out the ball of yarn and asked about the Great Void Mirror. Ball of yarn, what new abilities does little Jingjing have now? Can she take out the earth-grade herbs inside? Can the high-level demon beasts inside help me fight the enemy? Mao Mao Cho trembled slightly. Well, master, it's not that we can't take them out now. The main thing is that there aren't too many high-level herbs and demon beasts inside the Great Void Mystic Realm right now. Yun Chujo was stunned. She recalled that there really didn't seem to be any high-level herbs and demon beasts inside the Great Void Mystic Realm. Then why did she go through so much trouble to find the fragment? Was she being played? Mao Cho saw that the pressure on Yun Chuji's body was getting lower and lower. She quickly explained, Master, don't be angry. The thing is, Xiao Jingjing said that when you find the other fragment, it will become your interstitial space. It will grow along with your spiritual power. When that time comes, you will have both heaven-level herbs and high-level demonic beasts. Bullshit. I finally realized that the three shameless people in my Dantian are all scammers. Damn Xiao Jingjing, it is using me. What bullshit interstitial space? When I find the remaining fragment, it might not be able to do anything to me. Yun Chujo was absolutely furious. Mao Mao Cho said with a trembling voice, Master, Xiao Jingjing said that it saved you once. You cannot be ungrateful. Yun Chujo almost choked with anger. Am ungrateful? It ate, drank, and lived in my house. And who was it that went through so much trouble to find those 7 fragments? It's me, it's all me. Tell it, if it dares to lie to me again, I'll smash it into a sky full of stars in the future. The ball of yarn trembled even more violently. Was there a sky full of stars? The mirror fragments flashed across its mind. It was so scary. It had to hide its little secret well and not let her know. Seeing that Yoon Chujio was still furious, the ball of yarn comforted itself. Forget it. It would be better to go back and knit its sweater set. A craftsman would not stoop to the level of a rude person like her. Yoon Chujio was filled with anger. Hence, the guy took out the talisman paper and started to draw the earth-splitting talisman. 12510. The guy was drawing faster and faster. Later, he decided to draw with both hands. Soon, there was a thick stack of super-grade earth-splitting talismans on the table. After drawing a few sacks of super-grade earth-splitting talismans, the guy felt that the anger in his heart had dissipated a lot. This fellow consoled himself. Being at a disadvantage meant that he was enjoying his life, while being at a disadvantage meant that he was taking advantage. No matter what, he could still hide in the Supreme Void Mirror at critical moments. Moreover, if he was trapped somewhere, at least he was not afraid of dying of thirst or starvation because of the Supreme Void Mirror. Therefore, the Supreme Void Mirror was still useful. Yoon Chujio consoled herself for a while, and took out the lesson schedule for the next day to take a look. There was a second-grade talisman lesson the next day, but she felt that Teacher Young only taught 1/10 of the earth-shattering talisman in one class. She reckoned that he wouldn't be able to teach other talismans in a short time, so she decided to go to the 3rd grade to freeload. Although Yoon Chujio had received a talisman inheritance from the Heavenly Dao Cliff back then, the grade was too high. Her current spiritual power was simply unable to draw it, so she could only freeload from the class. The next afternoon, Teacher Young braced himself and entered the 2nd grade's day class. He had already made up his mind that he was wrong. He wanted to clarify the truth to everyone and give Yoon Chujio justice. However, Teacher Young scanned the classroom and did not find Yoon Chujio. He could not help but feel guilty. Could it be that the little girl did not have the courage to come and listen after being wronged? On the other side, a certain Joe was already sitting in the classroom of the 3rd grade's day class. When the 3rd grade students saw Yoon Chujio swagger in, they only had one thought in their hearts. Fuck, this Yoon Chujio had caused trouble for the 2nd grade and started causing trouble for the 3rd grade? They dared to be angry but did not dare to say anything. They could only hope that Teacher Chi, who was in class later, would kick this freeloader out. However, they were quickly disappointed. When Teacher Chi walked into the classroom and saw Yoon Chujio, she was first stunned. Teacher Chi took out a shadow stone. On it was a magnified ice talisman. Teacher Chi glanced at Yoon Chujio. Seeing that she did not raise any objections, he heaved a sigh of relief. Oh my god, if this were to become a joke like Teacher Yang, it would be so embarrassing. Teacher Chi took the ruler and began to explain the ice talisman. He explained it in great detail. He estimated that he could only explain about 1/10 of it in a class. Yoon Chujio did not have the patience to take 10 lessons. While she was memorizing the drawing method of the ice talisman, she used her fingers to draw on the table. During the break in Teacher Chi's lecture, she caught a glimpse of Yoon Chujio's movements, and she did not agree with it. This Yoon Chujio was a little too impatient. She should listen carefully in class and practice slowly when she went back. Maybe it was just a coincidence that she pointed out the flaws in the shadow stone last time? When the class ended, Teacher Chi asked Yoon Chujio to stay. Yoon Chujio, how did you find the problem with the Earth Fisher Talisman Shadow Stone last time? Because I like drawing. I saw that the color of the blood of the Lion Demon Beast was lighter than the one on it, so I guessed that the spiritual power was weakened, Yoon Chujio said with a smile. Teacher Chi was very disappointed. He thought that Yoon Chujio had the talent of talisman, but he didn't expect it to be a coincidence. In the following days, Yoon Chujio started to run amok among all the grades. Although some teachers didn't like her, the academy's rules didn't prohibit students from skipping classes, so they could only turn a blind eye. Yoon Chujio was simply enjoying it. She felt that this teaching method was suitable for her, or else it would be a waste of time. Yoon Chujio was in a good mood, and a certain Shio's mood was simply broken. What happened to 8 days to recover? It had already been 18 days, wasn't it? Why was it still aiming? Yoon Chujio was also very puzzled. Could it be that this transformation pill was used on demon beasts to have a permanent medicinal effect? It could never be recovered? Yoon Chujio did not mind. After all, it was a spiritual pet that was exchanged for a meat bun. So what if it was a kitten? She could just keep it for fun. On this day, Yoon Chujio went to the class as usual. This time she went to the second grade's beast taming class. Because the beast taming technique was somewhat useless, many students mainly chose to cultivate pills or talismans. They chose to cultivate the beast taming technique, only for the sake of having the opportunity to tame demon beasts as spiritual pets in the future. After He Hongchuan saw Yoon Chujio, he tried his best to hide in the crowd, afraid that Yoon Chujio would find fault with him. He was really thinking too much. At this time, Yoon Chujio's attention was all focused on the demonic birdhouse. Yes, those eggs. This guy swallowed his saliva. It had been a long time since he ate egg custard. He would definitely go to the cafeteria and order one at night. Some of the demonic bird eggs were about to hatch. When they felt the gaze of the wolves, they couldn't help but tremble. Some even rolled into the nest. Some of the students said in surprise, "Look, why are the eggs moving? Are they going to hatch? That's not right. Didn't the sign on it say the estimated time of hatch? There's still a month to go. Then what's going on? Why are the eggs moving all of a sudden? Let's hurry up and report to teacher Yu." Yoon Chujio touched her chin guiltily. Could it be because of her? She was just thinking about it. She did not really want to use these eggs to make egg custard. However, these eggs should taste much better than the red feather eggs in the canteen. Why not take a few back and give it a try? The eggs trembled even more when they felt the burning gaze. Some of them even began to peck at the eggshells. They were actually born prematurely. Teacher Yu rushed over in a hurry. When he saw the performance of the demonic bird eggs, he was also very puzzled. Why did they break their shells so early? Originally, he had wanted to let the students practice with these demonic bird eggs. It seemed that it wouldn't work, so he could only try to find some young demonic beasts. Teacher Yu brought the students to the front of a beast house. There were some young demonic beasts inside, and there was a formation separating them in the middle to prevent them from biting each other. Teacher Yu said some things to take note of, then said, "Each of you choose a young cub and start practicing." Because these young demonic beasts were not very strong, Teacher Yu was not worried that the students would be in danger. The students all chose their targets and started practicing. Yoon Chujio was not interested in these young demonic beasts, so she just watched the show from the side. Seeing this, Teacher Yu just shook his head and did not say anything. After all, this Yoon Chujio was only here to freeload, so he could not criticize her. After watching for a while, Yoon Chujio felt very bored. If she had known that the beast taming class was so boring, she would have stayed in the dormitory to cultivate. After enduring for 2 hours with great difficulty, the beast taming class finally ended. The students were all talking about their experiences and lessons just now. No one knew who took the lead, but they began to show off their respective spirit beasts. Mine is a 32nd level ironbone earth-splitting red-clawed bear. I caught it with great difficulty. TCH. Only 32nd level? Mine is a 34th level red flame long-tailed tiger, 2 levels higher than yours. What's running on the ground? Mine is a spreading wing red flame crane. It can be used as a flying spirit tool. As everyone was talking, the topic of conversation somehow changed to Yoon Chujio. Someone asked, "Junior Yoon, what's your spirit pet?" Yoon Chujio wanted to say that she didn't have a spiritual pet at all. However, she smiled and said, "My spiritual pet is definitely 1 in 10,000. You must not have seen it before." Everyone's curiosity was piqued by her. They clamored for Yoon Chujio to be released so that they could see it for themselves. Yoon Chujio curled her lips. "Alright, since you're so enthusiastic, I'll let you have an eye-opening experience." As Yoon Chujio spoke, she released the fire-eating Shio. When everyone saw the kittens on the ground, they were instantly dumbfounded. The kittens of the fire-breathing cats? Yoon Chujia's spiritual pet was actually a Tier 4 fire-breathing cat kittens? Was she crazy? Even if she wasn't picky about food, she still had to get a Tier 30 demonic beast as her spiritual pet. Could this Tier 4 be considered a spiritual pet? The fire-eating show on the ground felt everyone's disdainful gaze and wanted to bang its head against the wall. Meow meow, it bet 100 dried fish. That damn smelly girl must have done it on purpose. Hearing the commotion over here, Teacher Yu also walked over curiously. Seeing the kitten on the ground, he looked at Yoon Chujio sympathetically. No wonder this Yoon Chujio wanted to come to the beast taming class. It was probably because she wanted to exchange for a high-level demon beast. It was also true. Any other one would be much better than this 4th-level kitten. Fire-eating Shio was so angry that it wanted to die, however. Yoon Chujio still sighed and said, "Sigh, did you all see it? My spiritual pet is this little thing. There's no choice. I'm a person who values friendship and loyalty. Back then, it had always accompanied me in the Qingxian continent. I can't just throw it away." When the students learned the truth, they immediately lamented that Yoon Chujio really valued friendship and loyalty. She was really too kind. She actually treated her spiritual pet so well. This cat cub could be considered to have met a good master. They were so angry that they couldn't live anymore. Everyone was talking and laughing as they walked out. No one noticed that when the fire-eating Shio called out, the demon beasts were all trembling. Some of them even prostrated on the ground, looking like they were submitting. As the cat cub had crossed the road, Yoon Chujio started to walk the cat whenever she had nothing to do. "What? Did you say that the Academy's rules forbade the release of spiritual pets?" "Sorry, a certain Joe had a lot of points. If you had the ability, go and report it." After that, there was no after that. A certain Joe was still walking the cat openly, and no one reported it. The fire-eating Shio was already shameless after being destroyed. For the sake of a mouthful of food, it eagerly followed behind Yoon Chujio and acted cute. "Kitten, go up the tree and pluck the reddest and largest fruit for me." Yoon Chujio pointed at a spirit fruit tree and said to the fire-eating Shio. The miserable fire-eating Shio climbed up the spirit fruit tree and bit off the stem of the fruit. Yoon Chujio caught it in her hand and gave a small dried fish to a certain Shio with satisfaction. The certain Shio gnawed on the small dried fish with sorrow in its heart. It thought back to when it was the overlord of the Skyfire Valley. It thought back to when it was the indomitable fire-eating Shio, but now? It had actually become a target to pluck the fruit. When would this day end? However, speaking of which, climbing the tree seemed to be quite fun. On this day, Yoon Chujio went to the alchemy class as usual. Although Yoon Chujio was tyrannical, she also felt that it was inappropriate to walk the cat in the alchemy room. So she planned to put the fire-eating Shio into the spirit beast bag. "Take a peek. Master, I want to climb the tree." A certain Shio was addicted to climbing the tree every day. If it didn't climb the tree for a day, it would feel like something was missing. Yoon Chujio felt that no one dared to openly harm the fire-eating Shio. Moreover, they had a spiritual sense connection, so she would know if there was danger. Therefore, she agreed to the fire-eating Shio's request and put it outside, letting it play by itself. 2 hours later, the alchemy class ended. Yoon Chujio walked out of the alchemy room and looked around. She did not find fire-eating Shio. Where did this kitten go? Yoon Chujio quickly used her spiritual sense to contact fire-eating Shio. She was shocked to find that she could not contact fire-eating Shio. How was this possible? There was only one possibility for such a situation to happen. Fire-eating Shio's current location could isolate spiritual sense. Could it be that the kitten had been captured? Who would capture a level 4 kitten for no reason? Could it be targeted at her? Although Yoon Chujio did not have deep feelings for the kitten, she would not leave it to die. She quickly mobilized the crowd to search for it. Although some of the students were gloating over Yoon Chujio's misfortune, they still tried their best to help her search after hearing Yoon Chujio's promise of a large sum of money. However, even so, they still found nothing. At this moment, Yun Chujo felt a slight pain in her divine sense. Her contract with the fire-eating Xiao had actually been severed. There were only two possibilities in this situation. Either the fire-eating Xiao had died, or someone had forcefully severed the contract in the fire-eating Xiao's divine sense. A fierce glint flashed across Yun Chujia's eyes. She had to find this person. Even if it was Yun Chujia's kitten, it would be courting death if anyone touched it. Yun Chujo forced herself to calm down. There were only a few places in the Xingtian Academy that could block spiritual sense, so where could it be? Yun Chujo suddenly had a thought and quickly jumped toward the heavenly Dao cliff. Little Tian Tian, do you know the whereabouts of the kitten? Did someone bring it to the bottom of the valley? 2 hours ago, someone did go down to the bottom of the valley. As for whether he took your kitten, I don't know. Oh right, that person is the one I told you about. He has been going down to the bottom of the valley recently. Little Tiantian, send me down. Yun Chujo had a premonition that the person who went down to the bottom of the valley was most likely the person who activated the teleportation formation, and also the person who stole the kitten. Can you do it alone? That person has already entered the cave of the 9E Netherworld flower. I can help you if you are at the bottom of the valley, but I can't help you if you are in the cave, Tiandao Cliff said worriedly. It's fine. Send me down. If I'm any later, I'm afraid that the kittens will die. Yun Chujo didn't have anyone she could trust in the Xingtian Academy, other than Xue Wuji and Jin Ji. Furthermore, they might not be able to help her even if they were to go down. It was better for her to stay up there. If anything happened to her, there would be someone to deliver the message. Besides, she still had the Great Void Mirror. It wouldn't be a problem for her to keep her life. Therefore, after Yun Chujo sent a message to Xue Wuji and Jin Ji, she asked the heavenly Dao Cliff to send her to the bottom of the Valley of Hell. At this moment, in a cave in the Valley of Hell, the fire-eating Xiao was curled up in a corner. There were still traces of blood on its mouth and legs. In front of it stood a man dressed in a teacher's uniform. The man held a porcelain bottle in his hand. He licked it with his tongue and frowned. He thought to himself, strange, there's nothing unusual. What's going on? If it's just a fire-breathing cat cub, why would it make the other demon beast cubs submit? The spiritual power of the fire-eating Xiao was restrained. Although it wanted to tear the man in front of it into pieces, it could only curse in its heart. The man pondered for a moment, then said with a sinister smile, "Little thing, it seems that I can only establish a temporary contract with you to understand the ins and outs of the matter. Meow. Don't even think about it. I will not establish a temporary contract with a bastard like you even if I have to use my divine sense." Fire-eating Xiao cursed angrily. However, to the man it was just a peering sound. The man held a 3-inch-long needle in his hand and pricked Fire-eating Xiao's body. He heard Fire-eating Xiao's miserable cry. His face revealed a brutal pleasure. "Little thing, how does it feel to be pricked by a needle? If you don't want to be pricked, quickly show your submission. You turtle bastard. You will die a horrible death. Don't even think about it." Fire-eating Xiao's stubborn temper was triggered. Although his body was covered in wounds, he still did not yield. The man stabbed Fire-eating Xiao's body again, then, he said sinisterly, "Little thing, don't tell me you are delusional to think that Yun Chujo will come and save you? Don't tell me that she would not think that I have caught you at the bottom of the valley. Even if she knew, do you think she would take the risk to come and save you? You are just a toy of hers." The light in Fire-eating Xiao's eyes became dimmer and dimmer. Yes, its contract with the little girl had been broken, and it was useless. How could the little girl come and save it? The man glanced at the Fire-eating Xiao's appearance and laughed sinisterly. "How is it? Little thing, as long as you establish a temporary contract with me, I'll spare you. Don't you like eating dried fish? I'll let you eat as much as you want in the future." The fire-eating Xiao raised its head with great effort. It glanced at the man with disdain. "Take a look, you self-righteous fool. Do you really think that I would throw away my face just for a few dried fish?" It was happy to curry favor with the little girl because it didn't hate her. Although the man didn't understand Fire-eating Xiao's words, he could see that Fire-eating Xiao was looking down on him. The man kicked fire-eating Xiao away and knocked it against the stone wall. Blood flowed out of the fire-eating Xiao's mouth again. The man walked in front of it and stared at it coldly. Are you willing to submit or not? Fire-eating Xiao closed its eyes. It would rather die than submit. This was the dignity of a demonic beast. Occasionally missing content. Please report errors in time. The man's face was gloomy. He originally thought that he could easily tame this little thing, but he didn't expect that it would rather die than establish a temporary contract with him. Although he could forcibly establish a temporary contract with it, if it self-destructed its spiritual sense, it would also damage his spiritual sense. This really wasn't worth it. The man took out the long needle again. He said coldly, "Little thing, if you still don't give in, I'll stab your eyes blind. In the future you'll become blind. Think about it, it doesn't matter who you acknowledge as your master. Why are you so stupid?" The fire-eating Xiao coldly glanced at him. It forced itself to stand up and looked at the man with disdain. The man could not help but take a step back. He actually felt a pressure from this heavily injured little thing. Could it be that this little thing was really unusual? The fire-eating Xiao had already made up its mind. If the man really wanted to stab it in the eye, it would self-detonate its inner core. If it could not heal this bastard, it could forget about it. The long needle in the man's hand was getting closer and closer to the fire-eating Xiao. At this moment someone said coldly, "Teacher, you bullied my spiritual pet. Have you asked for my opinion?" When the fire-eating Xiao saw the person who spoke, its pitch-black eyes immediately became watery. She had really come to save it? The man turned to look at the person who spoke and held the fire-eating Xiao in his hand. With a fake smile he said, "Yun Chuzhou? I didn't expect that you could really find this place. This is also good, so that I won't have to waste my energy to find another opportunity to kill you." Yun Chuzhou took a few steps forward. "Kill me? Does that mean that you were the one who tampered with the teleportation array last time? I didn't expect you to know so much. It seems that I underestimated that old guy at the array, and he actually found out about it. I have to say you are really stupid. Since you know it's me, why did you still come down?" The man said contemptuously, "Because it's my spiritual pet. If I don't save it, who will? Let it go and I'll let you go." Yun Chuzhou saw the bloodstains on the fire-eating Xiao's body, and her heart was instantly filled with anger. The man was stunned at first, then he laughed out loud. "Yun Chuzhou, you're really stupid. You actually risked your life for a spiritual pet? Since you're so kind, then I'll let your master's pet die together. It can be considered as me doing a good deed." Fire-eating Xiao hurriedly took a few glances and cried out. The meaning was obvious. It told Yun Chuzhou to quickly leave and ignore it. It used to think that those spiritual beasts that recognize humans as their masters were simply stupid. Giving up the freedom and dignity of a demonic beast to protect a human. Wasn't it sick? The reason why it agreed to establish a contract with Yun Chuzhou was that it wanted to return to its original form. It had already calculated that once it returned to its original form, it would find an opportunity to return to its original form. Although in the process of implementing the contract, the route was a little off, and it was becoming more and more like a cat, its original intention had never changed. How could a level 45 demonic beast be willing to become a weak human spiritual beast? However, at this moment it finally understood why some divine beasts would recognize a human as their master. It was because there was a type of emotion that was not limited to species, and that was friendship. The man laughed evilly. TSK, you really have a deep affection for your master. Darn girl, I'll give you a choice. If you obediently surrender, I'll let this little thing go. Occasionally missing content. Please report errors in time. Yun Chuzhou curled the corners of her lips. How do I know if what you're saying is true? Swear it. After you swear it, I'll let you do whatever you want. As long as you let the kitten go. Fire-eating Xiao cried out anxiously. Was she stupid? But why was its heart sour and bitter? This was an unfamiliar feeling, an emotion it had never experienced before. Perhaps this was friendship? The man did not expect Yoon Chujo to agree so easily. He despised her in his heart. This Yoon Chujo was really stupid. She was willing to sacrifice her life for this cat cub. All right, I swear. If you surrender obediently, I will let this little thing go. If I don't, I will be struck by lightning and die a horrible death. The man thought if he let this little thing go, it wouldn't be able to escape. When the time came, he would just catch it back. Yoon Chujo nodded, took out a porcelain bottle, and threw it to the man. The spirit-devouring powder is inside. You can test it. The man took it, opened the porcelain bottle, and saw that it was indeed the spirit-devouring powder. You are now in my palm. Don't play any tricks or else, I will make your life worse than death, the man said viciously as he threw the porcelain bottle to Yoon Chujo. Yoon Chujo did not say anything. She poured out 3 spirit-devouring powder from the porcelain bottle and swallowed them. As expected, there was no spiritual energy fluctuation on her body. Now can you let go of the kitten? The man was a little surprised. The effect of the spirit-devouring powder did not seem to be so fast. However, it was probably because she swallowed 3 of them at once that the effect was so obvious. The man was afraid of the backlash from the oath, so he threw the fire-eating show to Yoon Chujo. It's just a beast. You're really stupid. Yoon Chujo saw that although the fire-eating show looked very miserable, it was only a superficial wound and there was no threat to its life. Only then did she heave a sigh of relief in her heart. Then she put the fire-eating show into the spirit beast bag. The man immediately realized that something was wrong. How could a person without spiritual power use the spirit beast bag? Yoon Chujo put another pill to stop the bleeding into the spiritual beast bag. Then she looked at the man coldly. Are you surprised? Do you think I'm stupid enough to be blackmailed by you? TSK, although I don't know who your master is, I have to say that you're really stupid. You've been hiding in Xingtian Academy for many years, right? You actually gave yourself away for a kitten. If your master finds out, do you think he'll die of anger? The man saw that Yoon Chujia's spiritual power had recovered to the 6th level of the Lingxian realm, and he was so angry that his face turned green. Stupid girl. You tricked me. Don't be too proud of yourself. How can a trash of the 6th level of the Lingxian realm escape from my hands? I am quite weak at the 6th level of the Lingxian realm. I wonder what level of spiritual power you have? Could it be that you are at the 9th level of the Lingkong realm? Yoon Chujo did not show any panic on her face, and she asked with a slightly mocking expression. You really have a sharp tongue. Although I am not at the 9th level of the spiritual void realm, my 1st level of the spiritual void realm is enough to deal with you. As the man spoke, he threw a palm at Yoon Chujo. The man did not use his spiritual beast. Clearly, he wanted to capture her alive and torture Yoon Chujo before killing her. Yoon Chujo jumped to the side and dodged the man's attack. She did not have the same scruples as the man and threw several spiritual needles at the man. The man seemed to have some understanding of Yoon Chujia's spiritual needles, so he did not use his hands to catch them. Instead, he raised his spiritual shield to block the attack of the small spiritual needles. The two of them fought. The man saw that although Yoon Chujia's spiritual power was low, her movement was very fast. He lost his patience and released his spiritual beast at Yoon Chujo. The man's spiritual beast was a 30 feet long poisonous spiritual python. Not only that, there were also 2 10 feet long poisonous spiritual pythons. Yoon Chujia's eyes deepened. It seemed that the 2 small poisonous pythons were supplementary spiritual beasts. Although Yoon Chujo really wanted to escape from the tunnel was narrow and long. After she entered, it would be even more disadvantageous to her. Therefore, she could only deal with the man in this stone room. Yoon Chujo had no other good ideas, so she could only release her spiritual power piglets to deal with it. When the man saw Yoon Chujo release a group of spiritual power piglets, he was shocked. This Yoon Chujia's spiritual power beast was actually piglets? The disdain in the man's heart was quickly replaced by shock. Although the spiritual power piglets were very weak, they actually started to absorb the spiritual power of the spiritual power poisonous python for their own use. How was this possible? It was simply unbelievable. No wonder the higher-ups ordered to kill this Yun Chujo. She was indeed a little strange. Yun Chujo knew that although the spiritual energy piglet was special, the difference between her and the man's spiritual energy level was too big. The spiritual energy piglet would not be able to hold on for long. It seemed that she could only use the 10,000-year-old fire marrow. Yun Chujo quickly communicated with the 10,000-year-old fire marrow, but she found that there was no movement at all. She tragically discovered that perhaps because the 10,000-year-old fire marrow had eaten too much fire marrow recently, it actually went into hibernation. Holy shit! What should she do? At this time, the spirit energy little pig had already been scattered by the spirit energy poisonous pythons, and 3 spirit energy poisonous pythons pounced towards Yun Chujo. Yun Chujo had just dodged the 3 spirit energy poisonous pythons when the man struck her again. Fortunately, Yun Chujo's movement technique was flexible enough, and she used all her strength to leap up, barely dodging the man's attack. Stinky girl. You actually hid your spiritual power level? But even so, you're dead for sure today. The man realized that Yun Chujo was definitely not only at the 6th level of the Lingxian realm, but he did not take it to heart too much. Yun Chujo was simply at her wit's end. The talisman could not be used here, and neither could the puppets. She could release a few dumb cuties, but if the man caught one of them, it would become a bargaining chip to blackmail her. Or should she enter Xiaojing's body? But if that was the case, her biggest secret would be exposed in front of this man. She could not use the Great Void Mirror unless it was absolutely necessary. Yun Chujo was slightly distracted. The large spiritual power poisonous python bit at her. Fortunately, the golden light sky umbrella given to her by old Master Yi helped her block this attack. Yun Chujo was so scared that she broke out in a cold sweat. Oh my god, it seemed like it was better to get more treasures for self-defense. Stupid girl. I didn't expect you to have so many treasures on you. The man's eyes revealed a greedy look. His words reminded Yun Chujo. She opened all the defensive spiritual artifacts on her body. Although they couldn't withstand a single blow, there were many of them. She could hold on for a while longer. When the man saw that Yun Chujo did not care about the attack of the spiritual power poisonous python and pounced on him, he could not help but laugh in his heart. Was this Yun Chujo crazy? However, he soon discovered that Yun Chujo's body was shining. Although the sound of her body breaking kept coming, it did not hurt her at all. While he was stunned, several purple lightning bolts struck him. Although the man tried his best to dodge, he was still struck by the lightning on his left shoulder. Although it was not a big deal, it made him angry out of humiliation. Damned girl. I originally wanted to let you live a little longer. Since you are seeking death, then don't blame me for being ruthless. After the man finished speaking, he released a level 39 red-horned striped viper from his spiritual beast pouch. The red-horned striped viper hissed and hissed as it pounced towards Yun Chujo. Although Yun Chujo had dodged the attack of the red-horned striped viper, as time passed, there were not many defensive spiritual artifacts left on her body. Just as Yun Chujo was about to hide in the Great Void Mirror, Xiao Hanyo inside the spiritual beast bag said, "Master, the kitten has transformed. It wants to go out and take revenge." Yun Chujo was overjoyed. The recovery of Xiao Hanyo was just too timely. Yun Chujo sneered at the man. Do you think you are the only one with a spiritual beast? Let me show you my spiritual beast. As Yun Chujo said that, she raised her hand and let out the fire-eating Xiao. Before the fire-eating Xiao landed on the ground, it roared angrily. The red-horned striped viper was immediately intimidated by the pressure of the fire-eating Xiao and trembled. Its spiritual power level was 5 levels lower than the fire-eating Xiao, so it could only submit. The man looked at the fire-eating Xiao in disbelief. Fire-eating Xiao? How is this possible? How can you have a fire-eating Xiao? This is impossible. Your spiritual power level is so low. How can you tame a spiritual pet with such a high spiritual power level? The fire-eating Xiao did not care whether he was surprised or not. Right now it only had one thought, and that was to take revenge. Damn it! Didn't this bastard stab it with a needle? Didn't he want to blind it? If it did not kill him today, it would not be a Xiao. The fire-eating Xiao spat out a huge fireball at the man. Then it roared and pounced towards the man. The man dodged the fireball, while using the spiritual poisonous python to block the fire-eating Xiao. The red-horned striped viper continued to attack Yun Chujiu. When Yun Chujiu saw that the fire-eating Xiao had returned to its original form, she felt relieved. With the help of the fire-eating Xiao, it was a piece of cake to deal with this man. After all, the level of the fire-eating Xiao was much higher than the man's. Yun Chujiu saw that the man was beaten by the fire-eating Xiao until he was unable to fight back. So she released Dooming to help her deal with the red-horned venomous snake. Soon, the red-horned venomous snake was killed by Yun Chujiu and Dooming. At the same time, the man was completely unable to resist and was forced into a corner by the fire-eating Xiao. The man's eyes revealed a trace of treachery. He raised his spiritual energy barrier to block the fire-eating Xiao's fireball. He suddenly bit his index finger and began to form a seal. Yun Chujiu caught a glimpse of the man's actions and a thought flashed through her mind. She quickly said to the Xiao Hanio, "Quick! Curse! He's going to use a secret technique to escape." The man had only formed a seal halfway when he suddenly staggered. Not only was the hand seal incomplete, but the protective barrier had also dissipated. It was directly hit by the fire-eating Xiao's fireball. The man instantly turned into a fireball. He kept rolling on the ground, trying to extinguish the fire on his body. How could Yun Chujiu give him a chance to escape? She kept attacking him with her silly cuteness. Finally, the man turned into ashes, leaving behind only a storage ring. Yun Chujiu sat on the ground and panted heavily. She was still too weak, especially when external forces like talismans and small flames could not be used. However, her cultivation method was special. No matter how hard she worked, she could not advance without being struck by lightning. If only she had a way to be struck by lightning at any time and place. Yun Chujiu took a short rest. She picked up the ring and sent her spiritual sense into it. Soon a token appeared in her hand. The Higan flower pattern on it made Yun Chujiu's heart tremble. When that man formed the seal, Yun Chujiu had already guessed that it was someone from the Divine Devil Hall. Yun Chujiu couldn't help but frown. She didn't expect that the Divine Devil Hall actually had their own power in the immortal Yuan continent. This master of the Divine Devil Hall must be constructing a very big conspiracy. Who exactly was he? What did he want to do? Was he just looking for the Eye of Earth Profound? Little Sister Joe, what should we do next? Who do you want to tell this news to? Shui Wuji asked. Yun Chujiu smiled bitterly. Brother Wuji, do you think that if I tell others about the Divine Devil Hall, they will believe me? They must think that I'm talking nonsense. Shui Wuji sighed. You're right. Our words are light, and no one would believe us even if we told them. It seems that we can only take things one step at a time. The immortal Yuan continent is full of talented people, and the Divine Devil Hall shouldn't be able to create any waves in the short term. Yun Chujiu and Jinji also agreed with Shui Wuji's words. They could only hide this matter for the time being and announce it to the world when there was a chance in the future. Jinji asked curiously, Little Joe, why did that person want to catch the kitten? Why do I feel that he didn't use the kitten to threaten you? Instead, he seemed to be targeting the kitten. Yun Chujiu didn't think too much about it just now. Now that she thought about it, it was just as Jinji said. That person seemed to be targeting the kitten this time. What did he want to do? Yun Chujiu looked at a certain Xiao who was trying his best to eat the dried fish. Little cat, why did that person catch you? A certain Xiao was at a loss. He said that he wanted to establish a temporary contract with me. He said that by establishing a contract, he would understand the whole story. I don't know what he wants to do either. Is he a psychopath? The whole story? Could it be that he could see that there was something strange about the cat cub? It didn't make sense. The cat cub looked no different from a fire-breathing cat cub. How could he see that there was something strange? Yoon Chujo recalled that that person was the teacher of the Beastmaster department. Could it be that he had some secret method to see the uniqueness of the cat cub? The three of them discussed for a long time, but they still couldn't come up with a reason. Finally, Yoon Chujo said, "How about this? When this matter is over, I will find some time to test Teacher Du, who teaches US Beastmaster. He is quite knowledgeable about demonic beasts. If he also can't find out the uniqueness of the cat cub, then there shouldn't be any problem." The next day at noon, Yoon Chujo went to class as usual. She did not hear any news about the disappearance of the teacher. She thought for a moment and understood the gist of it. That person often went to the bottom of the valley of hell. He had probably thought of an excuse so no one would pay attention to him even if he went missing for a few days. A few days later, there was a faint news from the academy that a teacher surnamed Ma from the Beastmaster division had gone missing. There were many different opinions. Some said that he was greedy for the things from the Beastmaster division, so he fled because he was afraid of punishment. There were also some who said that he had climbed to a higher position so he left without saying goodbye. Among all these theories, no one guessed that Teacher Ma had met with an accident. After all, Xingtian Academy was heavily guarded, so it was impossible for anything to happen. Moreover, Teacher Ma's spiritual power level was not low. If someone were to kill him, there would not be no movement at all. Although Yoon Chujo was slightly relieved, she still had some worries in her heart. She didn't know if Teacher Ma's accomplice was still in the Xingtian Academy, so she had to be more careful in the future. That afternoon, Yoon Chujo went to the Spirit Beast Park to look for Teacher Du. "You little girl, you haven't been here for a long time. Are you craving for honey again?" Teacher Du teased. Yoon Chujo laughed dryly and said, "Look at what you said. I'm not a bear. I can't move when I see honey. This time, I want you to help me take a look at my spiritual pet. It hasn't advanced for a long time. What's going on?" Teacher Du saw that the kitten didn't laugh at him like the others, so he carefully observed it. Then he said, "I see that this fire-breathing kitten's spiritual sense seems to have been damaged. After it recovers its spiritual sense, it should be able to advance." Yoon Chujo nodded, and then asked with her starry eyes, "Teacher Du, do you think this cat cub of mine is some kind of divine beast or immortal beast cub? That's why it hasn't broken through yet." The corner of Teacher Du's eyes twitched violently. He thought to himself, no wonder this little girl has been raising such a cat cub. It turns out that she still fantasizes that this is a divine beast or immortal beast. It was simply a fool's dream. "Little girl, your wish is good, but this is indeed just a fire-breathing cat cub." Although the fire-breathing cat's bloodline was mixed with the blood of the Qilin, Pai Xiao, White Tiger, and many other divine or immortal beasts, those were all ancestors from hundreds of thousands of years ago, or even millions of years ago. After countless generations of reproduction, it had long since faded to almost nothing. So if you have the chance, you better take in a spirit pet of a higher level. This one can be your playmate. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.